crusty morning lips. Oh, and that's how we'll start. What's going on, everybody? It's your man, Sean Zittel, holding it down from the elaborate, illustrious, high-tech, decorated, esteemed studios here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I was about to say Junto Nakatani because it's 3:37 in the morning. For Brian Norman Jr. against Jin Sasaki for the WBO welterweight title. Right now we are in the co-main event, Soro Tanaka against Kobata in our co-main event. I believe an IBF title eliminator in this co-main event, but let's kill a little time. We got to kill some time before main event time, so I'm hyped for this fight. Don't know fully which way it's going to go. Doesn't feel like what the odds makers have it as. I did pick Norman. I think Norman will win this fight, but I don't know. This is not set up to be Norman's night. He's probably getting paid some good money. And this is supposed to be Jin Sasaki's night in Japan. That's the way they're looking at it. So they got their 23-year-old hard-hitting Jin Sasaki who's trying to make history. He thinks this is all geared up to become the first Japanese welterweight champion. My guy BT, True School Sports, is in the building in Japan. I'm gonna hit up BT right after fight time to try to get, because we got a guy actually at the fight. So we're gonna try and touch base with BT after the fight. Actually, you know what? We got some time. Got some time to kill. What's up, Chiquien? Good morning, Chiquien. Good to see you, brother. Brandon Roy in the house, all the way from Portland in his prime in 2010. He's in a time machine joining the chat. Yahoo says Norman by stoppage. Eric Powery says, Sean, your dedication is crazy. Thank you, sir. And Queso Diamante says it's a toss-up. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a 5-1 Brian Norman fight. It feels like an upset could be brewing in Japan. So now I was joking with my sister-in-law. We got my sister-in-law in town. We got my wife right here, exhausted, but hold on, they can't see you, babe. Hold on, it's okay. She's waving there off camera. She's going to be on camera once it's main event time, I think. But anyway, I was telling my sister-in-law because I was excited for the fight last night. I'm like, now, we call it right down the middle, of course, and if Jin Sasaki starts cooking Brian Norman's ass, then so be it. They got it. That's how we'll call it. But I was like, it's our guy's job, our guy being the American, to come back home with his motherfucking title still intact. But that might not be the case. He might get blitzed by Jin Sasaki. But I can't wait for the fight. I'm looking forward to it. My Anthony, hey babe, Ant said, I believe that's my brother Ant with 2 T's. It is. What's up, Ant? Ant Bernal saying best wife in boxing. I agree, but we also got Amanda. We got Amanda. Yeah, we got Amanda out there. Shout out to Amanda. But really, this Logitech Brio is a really overrated.
You're doing a good ad for it.
It's an overrated webcam. I don't know what this angle is that I don't ask for, but it gives it to us. So Tanaka and Kobata out there having one of their wars of attrition that are very common in Japan, from what I hear from my man Brendan, who covers the club shows in Japan. Apparently it's, maybe dishonorable to move around too much, have excessive movement in Japanese fights. Kind of reminds me of the Telemundo fights in Mexico, where it's a lot of explosive punching, and inside where you just see a left hook to the body there in a replay of this co-main event. A lot of explosive body work and combinations and left hooks in the pocket. And I just noticed from Japanese fighter, you're on average, your baseline Japanese fighter right now in the 2020s, this really started in the 2010s, I feel like, they're just more explosive than ever. And I think, that Jin Sasaki's looking to capitalize on all their building momentum in the sport, having arguably the best fighter in the world pound for pound. And now they're trying to take that momentum a little bit further up the scales where they never have before. So I think Sasaki will fall short, but you never know. He's got a lot of momentum behind him. Japanese boxing is having more of an impact on the global stage than at any other point in my life. So I know they've always been dominant in the flyweight divisions and the low weight classes, but tonight is about them trying to take that dominance up a notch, up the scales to the welterweight division, which is a historically dominant American division. So I got a soft spot for Brian Norman. Someone asked, "Yo, Sean, quick final prediction because I just joined. Who do you got?" I got Brian Norman in the classic, or as Jin Sasaki said in Japan. I don't want to get canceled here, but Brian Norman Jr. Right? I think that was fair. Right? That was a good enough impersonation that it was fair. So, yeah, I think Norman is actually going to get a blessing in disguise. You never want to pick yourself off the canvas. You don't want to get hurt. But I got a feeling if Sasaki produces that kind of moment that I think he's capable of, or he might produce even more than that and just knock Brian Norman the fuck out. But if he does that, then it provides the kind of drama, the kind of foil, that Norman needs to really get his stock up and really make some noise today. If Sasaki and Norman deliver a classic, and let's say both fighters taste the canvas, and Norman's able to actually survive that kind of a gunfight and come out and come back to the United States still with his title, I think people waking up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, boxing fans, they're going to wake up to a fight that shook up the boxing world. So, but if actually in this scenario, and I said this on Sean's show on the Porter Way, if he goes in there and bombs Sasaki out and Sasaki shows very little resistance, then still a job well done. And, your hardcore boxing followers will say, oh, good, attaboy to Brian Norman. Good job. He looked sharp. He looked good. But funny enough, the way I see it working, his stock will actually be higher if Sasaki makes him go through some fire and makes it a two-way shootout type of classic kind of fight. I actually think Norman will benefit more because those kind of fights captivate people. And if you can persevere through that kind of a fight and come back to the States with your title, I think that's going to help Brian Norman even more than a rout tonight. But what won't help him is getting knocked the fuck out. And that is possibly going to happen. And I normally would dress it up a little bit more, but it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd put it a little less bluntly, but not only is it almost 4 in the morning, but that's exactly what Jin Sasaki is going to try to do is, allow me to do my Al Bernstein key to victory. No, I'm kidding, because Sasaki still has a little bit of a catch-and-shoot game. He puts combinations together with both hands. Even if he gets a little zealous on his punches, opens up a little wide, but he's opening up wide with speed and power. And he's got a nasty left hook. There was a fight me and my wife were watching. It was almost midnight, 11 o'clock at night. The kids are asleep in the bed. She said, go ahead, put on your tape so you could break it down. She's watching it with me. Sasaki gets dropped twice in an all-Japanese fight. Out of nowhere, leaping left hook knocks the guy out with one shot. And it made me, jump up in my bed because I'm watching some of these fights for the first time of Sasaki. And that was a jump out of your seat moment. Like, whoa. And you could criticize the guy got dropped twice in a domestic fight, and that's part of why I'm picking Norman, is he seems to go down a fairly decent number of times in just 21 fights in his pro career. He's been down in multiple fights. But, man, the way he got up and landed that left hook to win by a one-punch knockout after getting dropped twice, that kind of screamed X Factor. Like, okay, you could look at it and say this dude gets dropped a lot, but you could also look at it and go, this dude won't stop. This guy has a lot of heart and can turn the fight around with fight-changing punching power, and he's got big balls enough to he's gonna try and change the fight with that punching power until you put his lights out. So he's a dangerous fighter, and only 23 years old. So, and his only loss was at 140, where he probably was cutting a little bit too much weight. So add it all up, and he's an intriguing opponent tonight for Brian Norman. Patrick Boomendele says, Sean, you a real one, brother. Hardcore fan, salute. Days Rock. What's up, Days Rock? Ace Guapo. Brian Norman been drinking the Japanese water. We know when fighters go to Japan, it's a lose-lose situation. Angelo Leo just got out of there with his title. So, it can be done. It can be done. Angelo Leo had to take the belt and really shouldn't have got a majority decision. He won unanimously in my eyes, but still got the job done. Still made it a 9-3 fight to where they can't quite take it from you at 9-3. 8-4 gets dicey, 7-5, they'll take that from you. But once you get to 8-4, you usually should be good. At least you'll get a draw. And then 9-3, even in the other guy's backyard, you should be home free once you get to about 9 rounds. But let me call Brendan, and let's put BT True School Sports. Let's put him on. Make sure he's at the arena safe tonight, and let's touch base with him so we know we can go live with him right after the fight. So that we got boots on the ground in Japan. What's up, Fleet? What's up, Fernie's Vibe? Am I going to Allegiant for Stadium for Canelo Crawford? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. What's up, BT?
Yeah. What's up?
Hold on, man. You're at the fight, right?
I'm at the fight, yeah.
Live from Japan at the fight. Brendan Taylor, True School Sports. All right, man. I'm on my live. I just want I just wanted to touch base with you so we could talk and have you on the channel right after the fight. Well, as soon as possible, because obviously you got to make it out of the arena and everything.
Correct.
So.
Correct. For sure. I'll come on.
All right. Are you safe? Are you safe out there?
I'm safe. Nothing bad has happened. I'm safe.
All right, man. Tanaka busting this dude up, man, in this co-main. That boy's jaw looks broke.
The Mike Tyson Yokohama.
Yep. So, all right, brother.
All right, son.
All right, later, bro.
All right.
Yeah, so, okay, they're going to call this one off. I'm not mad at the stoppage. Someone said, Jake NP said, I don't know about that stoppage right now. Well, I mean, we were kind of talking other boxing than the co-main, but, I mean, his jaw does look pretty busted up. Pretty bad.
He looks cheerful, though.
He looks cheerful. Like, I'm happy this is over, but, no, I mean, these guys, they got that, Bushido code. They fight like warriors in Japan. And it's funny, so Inoue's dad, Papa Shingo Inoue, he wound up saying we have to hold off on the move to 126, and we might not take that Nick Ball fight before Junto Nakatani, because my son would have to go to 26, come back down to 22 for Nakatani. And it was very candid of Papa Inoue, babe. He said, my son could go to featherweight right now, move up to 26, and dominate if he were to use his movement and box for a decision. He goes, but I know my son. I know he loves, he's enamored with fighting in this style that people have fallen in love with, the knockout artist. And he goes, because of that, I think we now have to take our time making the featherweight class because I know my son. I know he won't box and use his speed for the points decision. I know he'll want to go to 26 and do exactly what he's been doing at every other weight class, and that's knock the other fighters out. And so Papa Inoue said we might pump the brakes on the 126 Nick Ball fight in December and just stay at 22 until we finish business with Junto Nakatani at 22. Then we'll slowly make the move up to 26 so that my son can slowly grow into the division and keep going for the knockout. But it was interesting how candid Papa Inoue was to be like, I want him to do this. He won't do this. Now that I think about it, it's a contrast from sometimes the controlling dynamic that we're used to with the fathers. It's him saying, look, this is what I want. I don't think it's smart that he wants to do that. But I know my son, and he really is the boss. He's going to fight like this. So I change my game plan according to the whims of my son, not the other way around. Mm-hmm. But,
He respects him.
Kenny Porter wouldn't go for that. Kenny Porter wouldn't go for that. But Papa Inoue would. And interesting, very candid quotes there from Papa Inoue. I say that to bring it back to my point. These two guys fighting until Kabuto got a broken jaw. That's the style they like and expect in Japan. And I guess this is a timely conversation because we're talking about Showbiz's no running rule. That's, Showbiz talking about that got a lot of traction. And on the thing I did with Raheem, I only referred to the Tom and Jerry fights because I really only wanted to center in on Turkey saying that because Turkey's holds a lot of power in boxing and didn't bring up Showbiz because I wasn't trying to make it seem like I'm going in on another media colleague's talking point. That's not what I want to do. I try to mind my business in that regard. But because Turkey mentioned the no more Tom and Jerry fights, if I'm going to bring up the no running thing, I want to acknowledge the man responsible for that talk kicking off, and that would be Showbiz with the no running stuff. Anyway, I bring that up because they don't like it's an unwritten rule in Japan. It's not literally in the rule book, but I guess it's this unwritten etiquette in Japanese boxing. So, and me personally, I'm good on any rule implementations being put in. I've loved boxing the way it is. You have shitty fights, good fights, great fights, special fights, and everything in between. And, it's been good enough the way it is for over 100 years that it's good enough for me. And my response to issues isn't authoritarianism in general. It's not, hey, we got this problem, so we're going to legislate to force you to not be able to do this option anymore. So, anyways, in Japan, the co-main event is done. We could get excited and move on to the main event now. Brian Norman Jr. against Jin Sasaki. I can't wait.
I feel bad we missed that fight. That looked good.
Yeah, but Mark Nash TV. What's up, Raphael 32? What's up, Rude Dog? Mark Nash TV says, Sean, ask BT where he's at. My seat is right behind Bob. I'm in the white and red Team Norman hoodie on my way to BK from the bathroom. I'll let me text, let me let BT know. BT, someone in the chat left a super chat. Check it out. He wants to meet up at the fight.
In my BK, like...
Let's see. On my way, BK from the bathroom. BK from the bathroom. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Just wanted to... I am Saint. Don't worry, man. I'm not going along with the no running rule. I'm good, man. I don't want boxing to be changed like that. That's just me. Some people might, but it's kind of a tired discussion for me. But it's not, actually. I mean, it's funny. I want to shoot it down and be like, man, that's a tired discussion. Like, whatever. It's stupid shit. But then the other side of me is like, well, rule changes happen in the NFL and NBA to promote offense and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm good. I mean, it's boxing. Like,
I don't think people really like those rule changes in the NFL. Usually.
Yeah, people don't. Right. So my wife notes that most people don't like the rule changes in the NFL and NBA. Most people miss hand checking in the NBA. Most people miss destroying a defenseless receiver in the middle of the top of his route when he jumps up to make a ball. Most people, I think even though the no more crown of the helmet thing in football, I understand, and basically now as a father kind of have to agree that, okay, but other than no longer using the crown of the helmet, everything else is like, that's too soft, man. That's just too soft. It's football. And then, honestly, as a viewer, I miss the mashing of helmets. Now, I understand, to be intellectually honest here, we're talking about rule changes in the NFL and NBA that lessen the physicality. And the pitching of this rule is about increasing the physicality. So, I understand there's a difference there. And then some of the rule changes I have liked in modern sports. The pitch clock in baseball. I was watching my Yankees get their ass whooped in the World Series. And I told my wife, I was like, it's a lot funner to watch. It's a lot funner to watch with that pitch clock.
But
But
it made me feel like casual because I'm just like, I didn't watch it before. Now it's more, it appeases me more.
Right, but if you talk to the baseball purists, most of them didn't like it.
See, and I'm not like
most of them didn't like it, and it's you're trying to appease a crowd, that's still not gonna fucking watch baseball 99.9% of the time. Without the requirement that the New York Yankees are like in the World Series, I'm not gonna watch it anyways. And I was gonna watch it if the Yankees were in the World Series regardless, without the pitch clock. So
it just appeased you for a second.
It just appeased people that don't give a shit and pissed off the people who actually care.
Which actually, that it would be kind of the casual rule, no running rule.
It would.
And it's kind of what my sister said earlier about the niche thing. You have to appeal to the niche sometimes.
Ooh, that's okay. So we're gonna take it there. What's up, Jameson Childress? Thank you, brother, for the super chat. Thank you, brother. So Samantha, again, my sister-in-law. It all ties in because sister-in-law got a shout out earlier to start the live. She was working on the Bungie game. Bungie, who used to make the Halo games. Sister-in-law living out in LA. We're very proud of her. She's working on that marathon game that's been going through a lot of troubles lately, getting delayed now. Like this week, it got delayed. So Bungie's trying to have their big game with marathon, and a sister-in-law brought in to help. And one thing they realized was we have to go more niche, and more niche meaning it was trying to be a game trying to make everybody happy, right? Oh, it's a shooting game, it's a looter, it's extraction. But we're trying to simplify it so the highest base amount of people could play it. But instead of making everybody happy, they made nobody happy. And so what they decided was we're gonna make the gameplay like less shallow and focus in on one of those genres and let it be the foundation of the game and try to make the people who fuck with that specific genre feel like this is a really good game and take it from there. And so same thing in boxing, like. If you make the no running rule with the idea that it'll bring more casuals in, that might work, or it might just make nobody happy. It's normies, as we would call them, still aren't going to tune in to watch Brian Norman, Jin Sasaki. Yeah, they'll watch Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, but they were going to watch that anyways. They were going to watch Mayweather, Pacquiao, and bitch about Floyd's running anyways. But you might just piss off the purists that don't want to. They don't want to feel like anything they're is more contrived than it already might be in boxing. Sometimes you don't want to feel like, yeah, fighter A is winning, but that's because fighter B, he might stink the joint out if he used his legs too much, but he'd also change the outcome of the fight. And I think most real boxing fans just want to know who the better fighter is. I think most real boxing fans would. I don't know, maybe I'm giving real boxing fans too much integrity, but I think they'd rather see the right man win, even if it's less exciting, than the more exciting outcome, but it's a little contrived because one guy was threatened with not being able to possibly stink the joint out if that's what he has to do to win, or overly move. You get my point. And then it's a slippery slope. It's too subjective. What is running and what isn't boxing? And I know. Showbiz, for example, and other people have been they got their boxing IQ high enough to explain what Floyd Mayweather did isn't running. What Haney did against Ramirez was running, and that's true. That's a fair point. And Haney wasn't a runner at any other fight other than the Ramirez fight. That was excessive movement. I don't even use terms like runner, but it was excessive movement. It was inefficient, excessive movement that still led to a win, but. Nobody wanted to watch it, It's so, yeah. Overall, it's kind of a tired conversation for me personally. It's just like, yes, boring fights happen. Although 3 of the 6 most boring statistic fights, worst CompuBox statistical fights, they have happened in 2025. So I do understand why the discussion is happening right now, but I think it's a deeper discussion than just. Remove excessive movement, and I've gotten into that discussion on here, but I don't want to focus on Norman and Sasaki. They're showing them at the weigh-in. Norman, the more physically built guy, a little bit. Sasaki looks strong too. Sasaki just looks on one, like he's a demon possessed to win this title and make history in Japan. Norman, I think, knows he's in a fight. He went over there to get some good money. But I got a soft spot for Brian Norman because I think he's got an exciting style, but I think he's got an authentic and to me, a very likable personality that's beginning to blossom in the spotlight as a champion. Down to earth guy, funny guy, like the kind of guy you could see yourself hanging out with outside of boxing and talking about things outside of boxing, and him having a unique, funny, down south, southern hospitality kind of kind of perspective on life. And you know, down south they got their own type of wisdom, their own kind of charisma and everything. And that's Brian Norman. I think, you know, he's got the ability to maybe be the Dirty South king in boxing, in American boxing. It's even though he's only 23, 24, he's 24 now, but he's got the swag not of a Gen Z guy. It feels like he grew up with when Ludacris and the Yin Yang Twins and all those guys were blowing up in the early 2000s. I feel like he knows all those songs. And yeah, he feels like a kid that grew up in the early 2000s, not a Gen Z kid. And he loves Dragon Ball Z and anime, so it's perfect. You know, all jokes aside, loving that Dragon Ball Z and those video games, it probably makes him feel a little more at home in Japan than it would have otherwise. It's like, no, I know this stuff. Like, yeah, right. It's not totally foreign. I grew up with some of these characters, and but it's gonna be might potentially be a very tough fight for him. So, but Norman slept on. Case in point of him being slept on. He's slept on, Samantha. Most people are sleeping when he's fighting. You know, usually that term is a figure of speech, but it is literal with Brian Norman. He is literally being slept on. And that's why we're up at 3:30 in the morning.
Some bangers right now, Dirty South.
Because we're not sleeping on Brian. We're not sleeping on the king of the Dirty South. And just like the Dirty South, you know, I'm a East Coast, West Coast hip hop fan. City boy. Shout at Slim, a city boy. He don't know better. You know, we go with Brian Norman, Dirty South. Shouty don't know better. You know, he a city boy. So I prefer, you know, the lyrical talent and all that of the East Coast rappers. You know, so other people would joke around, you know, lyrical, lyrical, but no, the word, you know, the lyrical mastery of the Wu-Tang Clan and all my favorite East Coast rappers, Pharoah Monch. And then I love the West Coast. I love, you know, Pac's transition to the West Coast and, you know, all the normal ones you think, DJ Quick, Dr. Dre, and all the Like Corrupt and all those guys, that whole era. But the Dirty South, you know, got something to say, right? And I got love for Scarface and the Ghetto Boys and Outkast and Mystical, who's, you know, was down from Mississippi. But the point being, those Dirty South rappers don't try to go bar for bar with the New York rappers, and they don't try to replicate what the West Coast rappers do. They have their own way of going about their business. And it's not as refined lyrically or you could argue skilled lyrically as a New York MC. But it gets the job done in its own Dirty South way. And that's Brian Norman in the boxing ring. That's the analogy for Brian Norman in the boxing ring. Yeah, it's not Jaron Ennis, Terrence Crawford. You know, it's not that way of getting the job done, that skillful way of getting the job done. But, you know, fix your eyes a little bit, keep an open mind, and you'll see their own brand of skill shine through, their own way of rapping on the mic, or in this case, fighting in the ring. They got their own method to how they do it, and that's Brian Norman. He has his own delivery system with his punches, the way he... and I think that's going to help him win this fight. I think he knows how to generate power and leverage knockout power on his shots with a little less fat on his punches than Sasaki, who likes to wing them and slug them and, again, wing them. Norman can throw it a little shorter at a little bit different trajectory, particularly the closer the distance gets, and really hurts you. And he has his own method of skills that I'll just call it his own Dirty South skills that he has. And I look forward to watching them and seeing how it goes. So... Lee Van, thank you for the super chat. Lee Van says, the not all money is good money was incredibly brave, Sean, and I appreciated it very much. Good work, Sean. Thank you, Lee Van. I'm very proud of that video. And someone asked earlier in the live, are you going to be at Allegiant for Canelo Crawford? I don't know, because I made videos like that. And I want your opinion on this, chat. Should I apply for Canelo Crawford? We got the press conference coming to T-Mobile January 27th. First of all, if I do apply, I don't know if they'll credential me because I believe UFC's group, TKO, is going to handle that. And I've been critical of Dana White and them trying to repeal the Ali Act. I've been critical of them. I've been critical of Turki Al-Sheikh and all of that. I don't think I've talked out of turn. I don't think I've called. I don't think I've used profanity to describe them like that. I don't think I've insulted them or used ad hominem attacks or called them names or anything like that. I've been very critical, but as far as journalism goes, I think keeping it in bounds. So first of all, I don't know if I do apply if they'd credential me anyways. And then second of all, I'm on the fence about if I should apply at all. What's the right stand? Is it you've been critical? It's the First Amendment. The fight's in America. You should be there front and center, and you should show the balls and the heart to face the people you've been critical of, Turki and Dana and Canelo and Crawford. And I've faced Canelo and Crawford dozens of times in my career. I've seen Crawford in person since I've been critical of the fight, and all that. So it's not like I haven't, but no, go to the fight, get credentialed, throw that heat Dana's way, all the stuff I've been critical of, put it to him in question form on fight week, and do that, right? And if Canelo and Crawford deliver a classic, eat some of your words and give them respect when you thought their fight might turn into an anticlimactic cash grab and they wind up putting on a classic fight. Be there, be man enough to walk back some of those words about that. Could still hold my concerns and criticisms about the big picture of Saudi and TKO and all that, but give them credit for the fight itself. Or is the right stand, hey, you've been so critical of it, don't show up on fight week to make money. Stay your ass home, do a round by round, say what you got to say about the fight, but stay your ass home. Don't try to cover that fight and make money after were very critical of it. You guys tell me what you think is the right move.
We got like 5 yeses and 2 nos. But
so
somebody said make a poll.
Make a poll. All right.
Yeah, but
all right, that's a good one.
So far, like 5 yeses.
All right, let's do that. Try to cover the fight. Boom. We'll make it a poll. So, got a super chat from I Am Saint. Thank you, brother, for the super chat, for the $10. Really appreciate it. It says, salute Sean and all you do for the sport. About a month ago, I reached out via Instagram about a boxing idea that I'm working on. I'd like to follow up on that. Do you have an email contact I can forward? Yeah, no doubt. I'm going to drop it in the chat right now to you. Here it is. And for anyone else who wants to email me, you can go ahead and shoot that right there. Thank you, I Am Saint. Email me today, tomorrow, whatever. I'll be checking my email to get back to you on whatever the idea is. So thank you again. Eric Gomez said, don't punk out. I hear you. Looks like more people are saying cover the fight. All right, I'll cover it. You got to cover it. All right, man, go do your thing. All right, I will. Well, I will. All right, that does it. All right.
You've been assigned a mission.
I've been assigned a mission. I will try to cover. I might not even do my typical thing. I will, but I might really be on observer mode all week. Just, and what did Dana White mean by that when he said it? And, and just my and by the way, guys, I'm predicting it now. Jin Sasaki getting ready for the ring. This is going to happen. Donald Trump is going to go to the fight. He's going to go, I love it. I love what Dana's doing. I think it's great. Tremendous. The atmosphere. It reminds me, here it comes. It reminds me of what I did in the 80s with Tyson, the fights I put on with Tyson. This is what boxing needs. It's a great sport. Dana knows what he's doing. Turkey knows what he's doing. Love what they're doing. And then with the hope that after they wine and dine him at Canelo Crawford, not that they need to, Dana and Trump, as we know, are already like this, send his ass back to the White House with the hopes that he repeals the Ali Act so that they can try to make their long-term goals happen. And that's what I feel like is the dark cloud hovering around Canelo Crawford. It's this potential Trojan horse fight to alter the future of American boxing and repeal the Ali Act, have Trump at the fight, wine and dine him, convince everybody this is exactly what boxing needs. Look at this. It's Netflix. It's a football stadium. It's Allegiant Stadium. It's the two greatest fighters of this era. Oh, my God. And all that. And that'll ultimately help them usher in repealing the Ali Act. And over the long term, because obviously it can't happen overnight, finding a way to dwindle those purses down to a more UFC scale. But I don't know if that'll ever work. I mean, UFC doesn't have the Ali Act, and they're in court for back-to-back lawsuits about fighter pay anyways. And then at some point, if they were to pull off their plans in boxing, they get sued for antitrust. I mean, you're trying to monopolize, I hate this term, combat sports and entertainment. Combat sports and entertainment. You're trying to monopolize, because these words didn't exist when it was just boxing being boxing as the king. Then MMA came big, and then WWE blurred their lines, and now they're owned by TKO, and so now it's combat sports and entertainment. And they're trying to monopolize that. So, yeah, we'll see. That, to me, that's the dark cloud. To me, that's as much a story as Canelo Crawford is. Canelo Crawford is this carrot being put out, this bait to the public and to the boxing industry to eventually rub all the promoters out and the managers out and drop the pay and do their thing. And the funny thing is, I don't even know if that ultimately wouldn't be good for boxing. It might. Because the infrastructure has let itself down so badly that it might. But I don't know. To go back to my earlier point, like about the no running rule, I don't think when things go haywire in boxing and beyond, sometimes you can make the medicine, the cure worse than the disease and all that kind of stuff. I don't think you solve your problems by just authoritarianism kind of thing. I don't know, whatever, but we'll see. The funny part is when I had to put my feelings aside once I saw, okay, it is going to be in America and at Allegiant Stadium, and I broke down the tape, it might be a good fight. Canelo Crawford might actually be a good fight. So we'll see. It might not be the anticlimactic cash grab. I don't think it's going to be a classic, but I think it might be a good fight. They're pretty close in size, it turns out. We all know this already. They're about the same height, and just looking at their styles, I don't think Crawford can stink the place up. I don't think it's in Crawford's temperament to stink the place up. He comes to win. And I also don't think at 38, by the time the fight happens, 37, 38, all the way up at 168 pounds, fighting once a year, I don't think he's got the life in his legs to stink the place out and use excessive movement anyways. So it might actually be a good fight. So we'll see. Let's see. You are overthinking it, Sean, says Eric. I get it. I respect the opinion. Terrence says, my guy, Sean, thank you for the super chat. Been watching since Fight Hype. The best. Appreciate you, man. All right. 300 people in here. And we're just waiting for main event time to get going. Let's focus in now on Norman and Sasaki. Can't wait for this fight to get going as they go through the pre-fight pageantry down in Japan. Jimmy Lennon Jr. is in the building. Gotta love it. Got two Japanese women by his side as he gets through the pre-fight pageantries. And my boy in Japan told me this is a big fight. That it's not quite Inoue levels, but that this was a bigger advertised fight than Junto Nakatani's fight. And again, it's because Sasaki trying to make history as a Japanese welterweight champion, up the scales, up the weight classes. And Junto Nakatani's a bigger name than Jin Sasaki, but this is a bigger fight in Japan than Junto Nakatani. That was a unification with a pound-for-pound star in Junto Nakatani. But this Sasaki fight, right now they're showing a moving and touching highlight reel of Jin Sasaki. He's a beautiful young man with dyed blonde hair. The man, look at him standing triumphantly on the top rope, come from behind knockouts. As we're getting closer and I just keep looking at Sasaki's highlight reels, I don't know, man. He opens up maybe a little. They showed him shadow boxing and he threw an uppercut with his whole head turned to the side. I don't know. So we'll see. I've got work at 8, I was hoping they would have touched gloves by now, says Troy Valley. We're gonna get there, bro. We're gonna get there. They'll have touched gloves by 7:30 your time, 7:35, and the way these two styles match up, they might be done before 8. You might be good before 8. You might be walking in to work in the headphones, and it's Brian Norman Jr. gets the knockout, or Jin Sasaki gets the knockout. We'll see. Man, speaking of Japan, did you guys see that Marvel Tokon game? Oh, woo! Looks fire. Looks tremendous. I can't wait. Can't wait for that. Marvel is back, baby. It's Marvel, baby. That's an old school fighting game reference. But all right, Jin Sasaki coming to the ring, rock star style. This man believes it is his moment to shine like a rock star in Japan. Totally believes this is his moment, Jin Sasaki. Here he comes to the ring, wide-eyed and ready, taking center stage, taking in the spotlight, embracing it. Looks like he believes the kids call it main character syndrome. Yeah. But he is the main character, to be fair.
He's having a main character moment.
He's having a main character moment. Is it main character syndrome if you are
the main character?
The main character. Is it? I don't know if it's a syndrome at that point. You're just being a main character. Here comes, as far as Japan, yeah.
He's taking it in.
He's taking it in. As far as Japan's concerned, the main character of the night, the star of the night, the man trying to make Japanese boxing history, the reason for the season, Jin Sasaki. Here he comes to the ring now. Explosive fighter. Got good hand speed, very good punching power, and a big set of Japanese balls.
That arena doesn't look too full, though.
No, the arena, well, outside of Inoue's the only one who packs, like, the Tokyo Dome and all that, but...
Just makes me think of how much they support.
But look at the production value, though.
The production is great.
Yeah, look at the production
look at all
value.
those lights.
All right, Jin Sasaki, flashy robe, comes in.
Look at the zoom in.
Got some big calves. Got his own logo on his gloves, on his robe. He's like, come on, come on.
Yeah.
He's saying, come on, feel the noise. We'll get wild, wild, wild.
I feel like a lot, like they're all looking like J-pop stars.
Wild, wild, wild. All right, and now here's Brian Norman. We are going to play Brian Norman's official ring walk music. Hold on, we are going to get this video copyright so I can edit it later. Here we go. Hold on. And now the official theme music of Brian Norman. This is Brian. I'm declaring it now. By the way, hold on. We are opening on the New York Stock Exchange. Brian Norman stocks. Open it. Myself, I think Mill City Boxing, Brendan Taylor, True School Sports. There may be a few other media members. We are the unofficial official stockholders of Brian Norman Jr. Inc. And the stock is pretty low right now. You can get in at a good price. It's a little low. All the high stocks, the Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis, Shakur Tank stock, those are American stocks that are priced very high. But you can get in on the Brian Norman Jr. stock pretty low right now. I'm selling them I'm selling them for a pretty reasonable price. But act now. Now, if Norman, you will lose money if Norman gets knocked the fuck out in the next 35 minutes.
Wait, don't sound like a penny stock because you sound like Leo.
No, I gotta sell. I gotta sell. This is Wolf of Wall Street, baby. But if you get in now, you could get in on potentially one of the most charismatic, hard-hitting American champions now. But you have to act now. Because if he knocks Sasaki out, the stock price is going to go up. So here comes Brian Norman Jr. to the ring, looking serious. Got a good sweat worked up. Doesn't look like the stage is too big for it. He looks ready to fight. Oh. And here is the official theme music. Uh-oh. Atlanta in the house. ATL shouted. ATL, let's go. Uh-oh. Let's go right to the... Uh-oh. Okay, Brian Norman in the ring now. White and red robe. Looks ready to fight. Got a great sweat worked up. Jin Sasaki stares across from him. But Brian Norman got the look like Shouter don't really know what he gotten into. You know, he doesn't.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Shouter don't know no better. So, all right, here we go. This should be fun. Wayne says, I got coupons. You take food stand? I would take the YouTube super chat equivalent of a super chat. Yes, I would. Absolutely. If there's any way we could make that happen, I'm just kidding. But this fight is going to be a great fight. I agree. It will be. Chikian says, I got a soft spot for Japanese boxers. I don't know who to root for now. Chikian got to have that soft spot because he went to the Cardenas Inoue fight and fell in love. He was like, oh, this is amazing. I now love Japanese fighters because I love Inoue, because he gave me an amazing main event at T-Mobile and saved boxing on Cinco de Mayo weekend. All very good reasons, Chikian. So, all right, here we go.
We should make a poll for who's going to win.
All right, yeah, all right, let's change the poll now because you guys all overwhelmingly voted yes, cover the fight. I got the memo. All right. Who wins? Brian Norman. Shot it, don't. No. Brian Norman. No. Brian Norman.
Brian Norman.
Shout
Give it the USA flag now.
Jin Sasaki. Let's go. All right. Norman getting hit. The anthem sung. The assassin, Brian Norman. Oh, looks like he's getting emotional too. Boy, the patriotism. Look at him. He's like
looking at the flag. They panned over to it.
Look at him. He's getting emotional. He went from that inner beast to damn, I'm really doing it. Shouted really out here, defending the title in Japan. They singing the anthem for the young champ. It's touching. All right. I just can't stop. I'm in the spirit, man. I can't stop saying shouting.
I can't stop.
Atlanta's in the house.
Oh man.
So, all right, Sasaki, a little drier than Norman for the pre-fight instructions. Now they sing the Japanese anthem. He's taking it in. Obviously, a lot of patriotism and fighting spirit in the great country of Japan. And they want history made tonight. Norman, all done with his anthem. Sasaki looking at the Japanese flag, the land of the rising sun, and ready to fight as well. So, can't wait for this action to get started. Is this real ESPN or just streaming? This live is actually real ESPN. This right here. No, the fight is on ESPN Plus. Is it just me or does Brian Norman look a little buff? Man, been eating his pork chop. Yeah, he's built country strong. So, Maria C, shout out to Maria C. Always in the chat, always awesome. Andrew Green says ATL stand up. Let's see. They don't know about Yipes. What's up, Malcolm X? Oh, Malcolm X knew them. It's Marvel, baby. He knew. All right. 330 people rocking with us. We got hardcore. 330 real ones. Real boxing fans.
Not real ones.
Yeah.
Trill ones.
Trill ones. Yeah. We're going to get a Bun B burger after this. Yeah, he's from Texas. Whatever. It's the South. So, same thing. JJ says Norman's about to put the beats on this boy. Relax, it's only money says, I want Jin to win just off the BS with boots, the business of boxing. I've never seen Jin fight, though, so I don't know. He's explosive. He's got a shot. I like what I'm seeing from Norman. Norman literally has the Dirty South inscribed on his trunks, so let's see. It's time to cement that claim. But what's interesting is with Norman, at first we all accepted the narrative. I think 99% of people still do. He priced himself out of the Boots fight, and I don't think they wanted the Boots fight. He's 23, just wins the belt. Boots is 27, in his prime. I don't think they really wanted that fight unless they were going to get a unrealistic amount of money. But in retrospect, they ultimately, when Eddie revealed that Stan Jonas made more than Boots, it's like, well, did you really? Is it fair to say they priced themselves out if they wind up asking for the same kind of money Stan Jonas got to sacrifice his title to Ennis? So, and then Ennis, and I love Ennis. Ennis is one. Do I not love Jaron Ennis?
Yes, you do.
Okay, I love. It's one of my favorite fighters to watch. But you couldn't go to 54 for Virgil because I gotta stay at 47. I want to be undisputed. So one or two fights later, now I gotta go to 54. And it's like, wait, why are you announcing this almost close to the day of Norman fighting Sasaki, when potentially Norman's going to win by knockout, and now the welterweight division has a real clear-cut 1 versus 2. We all want to see this fight to see who's the baddest motherfucker at welterweight. And now you're moving up. And I get it. If Boots has outgrown the division, he's outgrown the division. But you said you couldn't fight Ortiz last year because you got to stick around 47. This is the stick around 47 moment. And he's moving up. If he's got to outgrow the division, he's outgrows the division. You can't make the weight, you can't make the weight. He's certainly not ducking Brian Norman. I'm not saying that. But maybe Brian, you know, everybody had their minds made up. Brian Norman, duck Boots, and that's it, and that's all. I don't know, man. I think Brian Norman, if he could get past this, is he grows into his own as a champion and is actually ready for that summit meeting at 47. I don't know. I just got a feeling Norman might produce something tonight, this morning, that makes people go, damn, on second thought, Boots, don't go to 54 yet if you can't, you know, but that ship looks like it's sailed, so it is what it is. Let's just enjoy this fight for what it is. And maybe these two wind up giving us such a good fight, people want to see it again, but Sasaki, body looks very natural, you know, and at the top level of the sport, you never know who's, you know, doing what, but I would put suspicion past Jin Sasaki. He looks like a very normal, natural fighter. Brian Norman, by comparison, very buff, rocked up guy, but I'm not particularly, you know, suspicious of him. He just looks like a country strong kind of guy, country strong. But so here we go. Here we go in the center ring. You know, Norman, the more chiseled guy. Got a good sweat worked up.
And Jin's already got his chin out.
Sasaki already got his chin out, as my wife says. He's already hanging his chin over his front foot. All right, Norman, 24 years old. Both fighters, 5'8". Sasaki, 23. Sasaki with a almost 3-inch shorter reach. Brian Norman, good reach at 72 inches. That's the same reach Floyd Mayweather had at 5'8". All right, round 1, and we are off in the center of the ring. And Sasaki wings a right hand and left hook. Norman takes a step back and makes him fall short with both shots. Now Norman lands his jab to start. And Norman, the physically bigger fighter in there, looks like the bigger man for sure against Sasaki. Sasaki jabbing to the body. Norman stepping to his left and jabs to the body of Sasaki. Norman off with the left hook but doubles up his jab to the body in the center of the ring. Sasaki stepping over to his left. Norman stepping over to his left. Norman seems to have a good radar early on. Good check left hook. Down goes Sasaki in round 1. Off the first check left hook counter by Brian Norman, Sasaki looks overmatched. And this is what I meant. I say if he winds up just blowing this guy out, that's not going to do much for him. Sasaki needed to actually provide a threat.
Yeah.
First left hook and Sasaki's down. He's up. Flash knockdown, but doesn't look good for Sasaki in round 1. He looks like potentially overmatched. And now Norman measuring with the jab. Norman looking very good and strong at welterweight. Looking like a good fighter in there. Good double left hook by Norman. Right hand behind it. Sasaki starts winging bombs. Gets caught in between shots again. And down goes Sasaki again. This looks like he's out of his depth, out of his water. Down twice. That time it was a sweeping right hand as Sasaki tried to wing hooks. But Norman looks like he may have a first-round knockout here. Let's take a look. Sasaki's up again, and legs are still there, but he might be outgunned. Norman trying to close the show, stalking Sasaki, measuring behind a jab, counters with a left hook again. Sasaki is opening up from too far away. Sweeping right hand lands forward. Now Sasaki gets in a left hook, and that gets Norman's attention. Left hook to the body by Sasaki. Norman forced to cover up. Norman pushes off with a hook, but I do think Sasaki got Norman's attention with his power. Sasaki trying to wing shots from too far out, not being responsible about his distance here. Not using the jab at all. Good straight right hand by Brian Norman. Lead right hand landing that time, and then he catches what's coming back. Norman staying defensively responsible. Left hook to the body by Norman, but a catch and shoot left hook by Sasaki. Norman keeping his gloves up. Left hook lands for Norman. Left hook to the body by Norman. Back comes Sasaki with a left hook to the body. Left hook lands for Sasaki, and Norman takes a step back. Another left hook for Sasaki. Norman keeping him off with the jab. Measuring with the jab, Norman gets his left hook blocked. Sasaki is dangerous in there. Left hook low for Sasaki. Left hook lands up top. And a sweeping right hand for Sasaki. Norman forced to cover up. Left hook to the body by Norman. Sweeping right hand for Norman. Right uppercut by Norman and a left hook. Beautiful shots by Norman. 10 seconds left. Sasaki holding up to this heat. But the fight is breaking out. Lead right hand for Norman lands. Sasaki holding up in there and smiles back to his corner. 2 knockdowns for Brian Norman, but some of those left hooks of Sasaki were dangerous and got Norman's attention a little bit. 10-7 round for the champion, but an explosive first round, just as we expected. So Sasaki, trying to wing power shots from way too far out, gets countered with a left hook by Norman. Good counter punching and good skills there by Norman. Known as a slugger, Norman on the second knockdown, on the first knockdown again, countering with the left hook. Step back, counter left hook. Yep. Step back, boom, counter left hook by Brian Norman. Dropped Jin Sasaki. And it looks like Sasaki, who got dropped again, was going to get put out of there. But Sasaki, he held his ground in the pocket, began to catch and shoot and wing some hooks, and I believe get Norman's attention with some of those left hooks. So still dangerous in there, and found some signs of life. So round 2, and here we go, round 2. Norman has to stay alert. Sasaki is dangerous. Sasaki coming forward. Sasaki with a lot of moxie, not deterred. Wings a right hand over the top on Norman. Norman nods his head. Norman looks a little uncomfortable to start round 2, and he clinches Sasaki. Sasaki, like a kamikaze, ready to be kill or be killed. Sasaki saying, come on, come on. This motherfucker's crazy. Yeah, here he goes. Jabbing to the body. Norman trying to slow the fight down and keep his cool against this crazy fighter. And Sasaki gets countered with a right hand. Tries to wing the left hook. Back comes Norman with a combination. Sasaki covering up. Norman chopping with the right hand around the high guard. 2, 3 jabs by Norman and a right hand behind that triple jab. And another chopping right hand by Brian Norman. Trying to punch the crazy out of Sasaki. Another right hand by Brian Norman off a touch jab to set it up. Good skills by Brian Norman. Lead right hand by Brian Norman. Sasaki trying to catch and shoot. Sasaki blocking the left hook. Norman calmly taking steps to Sasaki behind his jab. Very composed by the champion. Sweeping right hand to the body by Norman. Another sweeping right hand to the body by Norman. Sasaki says, come on. But Norman wise to go to the body, take some steam out of Jin Sasaki. Sasaki right hand over the top lands, but Norman rolls the shot a little bit. Sasaki level change. 2 hooks to the body by Sasaki inside, but Norman taking those shots comfortably in the pocket. Norman staying in the pocket with Sasaki. Touching him up top, trying to set up a body shot. Good sweeping right hand to the body. 2 good jabs by Brian Norman in the pocket. Another good double jab by Brian Norman in the pocket. Norman changes levels, tries to sweep the right hand just off the mark. Minute left in the second round. This is a Norman round. Norman on the front foot, but just taking steps, casual steps to Sasaki, not rushing his attack. Sasaki wings a hook. Norman steps out of range, makes him fall short, resets after stepping to his right. Lands his jab. Lands his jab again, taking something off the jab, not overcommitting to it so Sasaki can counter over the top with a wing and right hand. Now Norman's in the corner. Misses his left hook. Good shoulder roll by Norman and an exit out to his left out of that corner. Good ring generalship there. Oh, they exchange. Both fighters get in. Sasaki gets into right hands. Norman gets in his shot. Norman lets go of a 1-2 up top. Sasaki keeping his gloves up to block. Norman still respectful of Sasaki's attack. Sasaki, left hook to the body. Gets Norman in the corner. Left hook to the belt line by Sasaki. Good body work. They trade left hooks. A left hook by Sasaki. Combinations by Sasaki. Norman covering up well. Tries to snipe with a right hand in between shots. And Norman nods his head at Sasaki as if to say, good work. Good work, challenger. 2-zip. By Brian Norman Jr. 20-16, but Sasaki is live. He's still winging shots, still got his balls and letting them hang.
Key to victory. Norman's got to use.
But again, Sasaki winging those shots too far out. Norman catching, taking steps back, counter punching, running Sasaki into the punch. Good skills by Norman so far. Norman is boxing well. So, do I think Sasaki is used to the power now? No, I don't think so. I think he still is in danger of being knocked out at any moment, but he's dangerous because he doesn't care. He doesn't care if he gets knocked out at any moment. He's going to keep trying to take Brian Norman's head off. And that's what made him a exciting underdog in this fight. So here we go, round 3. And Norman bouncing, steps over to his left. A little bit of bounce now. Now he settles down. Back against the ropes. Pops is yelling at the corner. Doesn't like that. Norman using his jab. Feints the jab up top. Shoots it to the body. Norman being very weary of his right hand staying home against that left hook. That's the money shot of Sasaki. Norman stepping over to his left. Sasaki on the front foot. Norman using his jab, hooking off the jab. Sasaki trying to get to the body. Good left hook lands for Sasaki. But Norman takes it well, turns him, sweeps some shots around the high guard. Sasaki hurt along the ropes. Left hook to the body by Norman. Sweeping, chopping right hand along the ropes for Norman lands. Another chopping right hand for Norman. Norman pushes Sasaki into the corner. Right uppercut, left hook. Sasaki covering up. Sasaki covering up against these sweeping right hands of Norman. Good defense by Norman, catching the lead hand on his right glove. Double jab by Norman, sets up a right hand. Sasaki's badly hurt. Sasaki along the ropes. Sasaki's legs are gone. Norman on his way to maybe stopping him here. Another chopping right hand by Norman. But Norman got to watch out. Oh, right uppercut by Brian Norman. Back Sasaki up. Sasaki's legs are hurt. Lead right hand by Brian Norman. Straight right hand by Brian Norman. Lead straight right hands by Brian Norman. Sasaki trying to will his way through the punches, but it's not looking good. Sasaki wings a left hook, but left hook lands for Sasaki. Norman, man, Sasaki doesn't know it, but he landed it. Norman is walking through it, not letting it be known. Good poker face by Norman, but I saw his legs react. Norman says, come on, but Norman might be a little woozy along the ropes. Norman, good defense, making Sasaki miss. So Norman shoulder rolls and does a chopping right hand out of the shoulder roll. Left uppercut, straight right hand by Brian Norman. Norman being creative with his punch selection tonight. Not predictable. It's the lead right hand. It's the touch jab with a chopping. There's a sweeping right hand. Another sweeping right hand by Norman and the left uppercut. Norman is in his bag. This is the style where he could showcase his bag. And good leverage and snap on the punches from Brian Norman. Nice 1-2 by Brian Norman and throw from a unique trajectory. Jab and a chopping right hand by Norman. Norman steps back and makes him fall short. Good defense tonight by Brian Norman. Good jab by Sasaki. That jab to the body by Sasaki. Straight right hand off the jab to the body by Sasaki. Norman catches some of it, but that was good level changes by Sasaki. And Sasaki's covering up a lot this round, taking a lot of partially landed blows. They're not fully landing, but they're sneaking around the high guard a lot. But Norman was very creative that round. You see how check left hook at the bell, buckles Sasaki. Sasaki's a lunatic.
He's a kamikaze.
That boy crazy. Yeah. You can't teach crazy. But Norman, there was that left hook on the replay, and I think that got Norman's attention. But he had a good poker face. He hit it well. But Sasaki is a lunatic. But Norman tonight, again, creative punch selection. Sometimes it's the double jab, sweep the right hand. Sometimes it's the 1-2, and the jab comes from the hip and not up here. Sometimes it's the left uppercut, straight right hand, or it's the sweeping right hand, left uppercut, or it's the right uppercut, the left hook, where he's still touching the body. He's doing a lot of he's mixing up his attack and showing you that he's not just a crude, hard hitter, strong guy, but
he's multifaceted.
He's got skills. Mm-hmm. He's got skills. So that's what Brian Norman is showing right now. Troy Valley said, I'd watch another Sasaki fight just because he's insane. Yeah, I'm with you. Maria C says, the wild man. All right, round 4. Here we go. Norman dropping the lead hand a little bit. Tries to throw a lead hook, alpha step back left hook. Norman getting his Floyd Mayweather Ricky Hatton on right now. Shoulder rolls in the corner. Sasaki working the body with the left hook, but Norman looks in control of there. Left hook lands for Sasaki in between shots, but Norman is trying to punch with him. Norman very composed tonight. Sasaki gets in the left hook. Norman is dropping the lead hand this round. He throws the right uppercut from a little too far out that time. He's got to stay disciplined. It only takes one left hook from Sasaki to change the complexion of this fight. Norman's been a good job being composed and taking his time and countering and not getting too far away from his jab. Chopping right hand for Norman. Sasaki is trying to just load up on the left hook. He'll take 1 or 2 to land one. He just wants Norman to get a little overzealous so we can get that hook in. Norman staying disciplined a minute into the fourth. Norman stepping over to his left, drops the lead hand. They trade right. Norman is taking more chances in the fourth round, though. Chopping right, and Sasaki keeps trying to wing that catch and shoot left hook off Norman's right hand from too far out. But Sasaki blocking a lot of shots right now, catching shots. Norman trying to create on offense. Not quite as dominant in the fourth round just yet. Sasaki threatening with catch and shoot counters, but from too far out. Sasaki still too far out. Norman trying to measure a little bit on the front foot. Sasaki winging those left hooks from too far out. Norman touching with the jab. Touching with the jab. Blocks a jab to the body. Measures with his lead hand. Bounces out of range. Steps back in range. Chops the right hand. Norman a little less snap and preciseness on these punches in the fourth. Dips underneath the left hook. Ties Sasaki up. Good pro move there by Norman in the corner. Norman taking his first deep breaths of the fight. And, he's had to be sharp and switched on. Might having his first, little bit of set of fatigue. Good left hook to the body by Norman off a lead touch right hand to set it up. Back comes Sasaki with a left hook to the body. Norman's back along the ropes. Touches Sasaki with a left hook. Right uppercut on the inside for Sasaki. Right uppercut on the inside for Norman. Norman's back still on the ropes. Sasaki keeping him pinned there. Right uppercut to the body by Norman. Back comes Sasaki with a right hand up top. Norman finally gets his back off the ropes and turns Sasaki. They trade. Norman is getting caught in more 50-50s this round. And is breathing a little harder this round. Sasaki isn't breathing hard. 10 seconds left in the round. It's another Norman round. But Sasaki got a little bit closer to him with some of his power shots that round. Lead right hand lands for Norman at the bell, but again, a little bit of deep breaths by Norman in the fourth round. 4-0, Brian Norman, 40-34, but Norman looks just a little touch tired in the corner.
I was going to ask how.
I would expect him to, have his second, third, and fourth wins, but I do think he's hitting his first bump. Mm-hmm. So, King K. Rose said, I can visualize it. Thank you, Sean. Great job. Commentate. Thank you, brother.
I was going to ask how his stamina is. Somebody said he has no stamina.
Yeah, Tom's dad said this fight's not even on here in Australia, so thanks for the live, mate. Love the channel. Thank you, brother. Thanks so much. Shout out to Down Under. We got almost 500 people in with us at 5 o'clock in the morning. You guys are awesome. So, round 5, Brian Norman Sr., we got the fight on mute, but it looks like he said something about that, to get his ass. We know what that means in so many words, Take care of this motherfucker and get him out, all that, yeah. So round 5, here we go. Brian Norman, Sasaki, lead hand all the way low, chin up in the air and saying, as if to say, come on, come on! Sasaki, jabbing to the body, Norman looks a little uncomfortable in there. Sasaki goes down, but it's a slip. He's all over the place with chaotic energy, yeah. Norman, I don't know, man. Did they spike his water or something? Did the fatigue start to hit? No. Sweeping right hand to the body by Brian Norman off the jab. Straight right hand to the body off the jab. Jab to the body by Brian. Oh! What a left hook! A knockout of the year candidate, and Brian Norman is bowing to the Japanese crowd. It's a one-punch left hook knockout. The knockout of the year. Brian Norman springs up with the lead left hook. He drops to his knees to bow to Jin Sasaki, who came in like a kamikaze tonight. What a left hook knockout by Brian Norman Jr. Do you want to see him against Sharon Ennis now? Do you want more? The stock just went up. The stock, wait. The stock just went up. Hold on. I'm going to wake my kids up. Because Brian Norman Jr. did it! Wait. Okay. Yeah! Yeah!
Oh, Sean's gonna get crunk. No.
Okay!
What?
Okay! What?
Oh my god.
You know what they're doing?
What are they doing?
They calling me to come back to the streets of Shanxi. Okay. It was necessary. Very scary.
Oh no.
In month of February. On display then.
I like it.
I'm still adding a double TIC. Who don't know about me, bitch, I'm for sure with it. Don't make me pop that trunk to the left, bitch, I will go get it. And I ain't selfish, I will let you and your folks feel it.
Oh
Okay, alright. No, you know what? We can't, we took it, we gotta go to the hook. We gotta go to the hook. Town,
no.
coming straight from the gutter. Poke, tag a motherfucker, leave him under cover. Jin Sasaki is still not got up.
Yeah.
Just one second. All right. I didn't know Sasaki would still be down.
Yeah,
though.
he
So
is
all right,
still.
Jin Sasaki is now down. All right, listen. It was a hell of a left hook. I'm sorry. It was a hell of a left hook. Okay. All right. But Jin Sasaki getting carried out on the stretcher now. We hope Jin Sasaki's okay. That was no disrespect to him. And when we called him lunatic, we called him lunatic because the crowd in Japan is giving him a standing applause and he deserves a standing applause because that's what the game needs is Jin Sasaki's.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jin Sasaki's may not get to number one pound for pound and you have a bunch of people on Twitter dick riding him, but my God, if that man didn't contribute to boxing by just leaving it all leaving a piece of himself in that ring that he will never get back. That was a brutal knockout by Brian Norman Jr. And I think that, you know, I was saying, and I totally am going to get this video copyrighted now, but whatever. Is man, what was I going to say? His stock goes up. I made the joke I didn't make the joke. I made the point that Sasaki needs to be a threat so that Norman actually gets credit and doesn't just beat an overmatched opponent. I think that is how people will feel that he beat an overmatched opponent, but I think Sasaki's tenacity coupled with that kind of knockout, which off top of my head, it's the knockout of the year. What else is the knockout of the year? Help me, chat. Help me right now. It's 5 a.m, but that might be the knockout of the year. I think Norman's stock went up. Let me ask the chat. I hope Sasaki is good. I hope so too. I think he's okay. He was smiling on his way out the arena, and usually it's prayers to Jin Sasaki right now, the Japanese warrior. Usually the scary moments in boxing come from late rounds, sustained, consistent punishment. This was the 5th round, and Sasaki got put out with a one-punch knockout, so we're all hopeful that he'll be fine, and he'll be okay long-term wise because he didn't sustain that late rounds beating, thankfully. But let me ask this question. Did Brian Norman's stock significantly raise? And I don't know how you answer both, but all right. So, yeah, that was nasty, man. That was an incredible... I'm so happy I knew something special was going to happen. That's why I had to wake up for this one. I knew something special was going to happen. Let me get to the super chat. Olmec Original, thank you for the super chat. Says, Sean has a lifetime pass to the barbecue. Thank you, sir. And Matt Borgeson, thank you, brother. Said, love you, Sean, but we know Boots going to duck that smoke now. No way Eddie is going to match him up now. I tried to speak from the pulpit of truth that the streets needed Norman versus Ennis. All right? Sorry. I'm sorry. It's
Juneteenth.
No.
Norman is talking.
Yeah, Brian Norman's talking. Let's see. You got the ATL on. Yo, with my man got the Vince Carter post,
Big Brian Norman fan, huh?
I told you, Brian Norman is a fighter America can get behind. He's I own the Brian Norman stock. Now what? No. Yeah, no, I know. It's Jin Sasaki. Calm down. I know. And shout out to Jin Sasaki. But, Man, I was trying to say don't sleep on the young man from Atlanta. They were sleeping. They were literally sleeping.
Wake up at 4 in the morning.
And I said they're gonna wake up to something that shook up the box. I don't know. Am I gassing this up or did he just knock out Sasaki, or did he just do the knockout of the year on enemy territory? Like I don't know. It's hard to gauge.
It's a good look that he went to Japan.
It's a good look that he went to Japan. Yes. Matt, but by the way, he is the road warrior. He beat Giovanni Santillan in Santillan's hometown of San Diego to win his title. He defends the title in Japan, knocks out,
Get it from the mud. Yeah,
get it from the mud, baby. Let's go. What you know about that? You know all about that.
Sean obviously raised in the Y2K.
Yeah.
Is Brian calling anybody out? Do you think he will call anybody? Everybody's also wondering about Boots. Moving on.
Okay, so Matt Borgerson says, by the way, if the ref stopped the fight after Jin fell from that jab, I wouldn't have been shocked. Something was off neurologically. Watch that again. Yeah. Well, at some point, it was mind over matter. His body had already broken down, but his mind and his spirit. That was the kind of young man you had to remove him from his senses, or he wasn't gonna stop trying to kill you. That a lot of guys say kill or be killed mentality. No, Jin Sasaki literally risked his life trying to take the title from Brian Norman. To Jin Sasaki, I would say, be a little bit more of a friend to yourself in that boxing ring, brother. Learn the head movement, use the jab more, because God blessed you with speed, power, and a enormous set of balls. Just make it easier on yourself and don't wing hooks from so far out. And he did. A few times he landed the right hand over the top because he used his jab. Even when it would fall short, it would level change and get him a right hand. But my point being, add some finesse to your game, because God blessed you to be a fighter. That's for sure. You could fight. But add a little finesse. Let's hear what Brian's saying. Wait, what did he say?
A certain fight coming up, but they heard being on the storm coming, and you already know what happened when the storm comes. You grab your boots and run.
Oh, he said grab your boots and run. That's what Brian Norman said.
That's what they were talking about.
So I'm just saying, look, Boots isn't running from Brian Norman, right? Duh. But Brian Norman outpriced himself. But Eddie Hearn then revealed that Stan Jonas got paid more than Boots. So if Team Norman is ultimately just asking for whatever Stan Jonas wound up getting, how could you say they priced themselves out? And if Jaron Ennis couldn't fight Virgil Ortiz last year, because I need to stick around 47. I didn't finish making my mark at 47. I think he even mentioned undisputed. Well, you're still 2 belts short, and this is the best fight in the division. Look, Stan Jonas was a good fighter. Nobody thought he had a shot of beating you, really. Well, maybe that's not fair. Of course, some people did. But I didn't. And I think Brian Norman has a real shot of beating Boots Ennis, because if Brian Norman finds the mark, like Delorme, Avanesian, Karen Jukajan did, Roy Monvia did, why wouldn't he? He's better than all of them. So why wouldn't he find Boots' chin just like they did? And with his power, and tonight he showed he has skills and creativity, it's a great fucking fight. And Norman's a live dog. Ennis is the favorite, but Norman can win that fight. He has one punch changing, knockout of the year power. Ah, man. And again, I'll say it again. I love that fight because it's a different vibe than these other American unifications we've been dying to see with Haney, T.O., Shakur, Tank, and all the like. And Keyshawn. These guys are all on their superstar-ish. They all have decorated amateur backgrounds, and they're the anointed ones. Brian Norman Jr. coming up from the Dirty South was not one of the anointed ones. Wasn't an Olympian, wasn't a super decorated amateur to my knowledge. Might have been, but nothing that put him on the must-see list right out the amateurs. Okay? No Floyd Mayweather cosign, none of that. Brian Norman's had to get it out the mud. And because of that, he's more of a down-to-earth, grown-ass man. And he's even younger than those guys. But doesn't he, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't Brian Norman come off in some ways more of a grown-ass man than Tank even, who's 30, or Haney, who's 26, 27 now, etc. And Boots is a quiet, Philly bull. He's a quiet Philly bull. So I want to see the king of the dirty South, who's got an underrated personality, underrated fighter, got funny guy, good sense of humor. Jaron Ennis, quiet, to himself, talks with his fist, flashy in the ring, flashy with the jewelry, flashiest fighter there is in boxing. Put them together, and it's in a real spontaneous, organic. We don't need Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, Canelo Crawford, the whole universe tuning in because it's the hot, shiny toy of the day. This is a real boxing fight between two real ones. Well, the young Philly Bull, or the in his prime Philly Bull, against the Atlanta country strong 24-year-old. That they could put the fight on the East Coast and a bunch of people from down south, which should be down south versus the East Coast. I love the fight. Two fighters that fight for the knockout. Who got athleticism and creativity and power. We'll probably never see it, right? Because it's boxing. But I just wish I was trying to get the momentum built up. Just for Boots, people were too busy basking in the glow of Crawford dominating Spence, and they let Crawford off the hook. What everyone should have done was amazing performance, Terrence, against Spence. Oh my God, that was historic, great for 1 week. 7 days of, oh my God, did you see that? Mm-hmm. And then on the 8th day, okay, we really want to see you defend those undisputed belts against Boots Ennis now. We really want to see. We need to see that. Job well done. Moving on. We need to see you against Boots. Same thing with Ennis. It's too late now. He made the move. The fans let him off the hook. You're too busy saying Norman priced himself out. Norman sucks. And Boots unified. And Boots. And so he wisely goes, okay, the week of the Norman fight, I'm moving up. And now it's too late. Now everybody will be. Now hopefully everybody's like, wow, Norman's good, and I want to see that fight. Too late. Yeah. Same thing that happened to Boots with Crawford. Too late. He moved up. The ship sailed. So next time, and I know you guys do, but I'm just bitching at the greater world now. Not my lovely 500 people audience. But next time, listen to your mans about listen to your mans. That's all I'm saying.
I'm gonna go to sleep.
Thank you, babe. Love you. Good night.
Good night. That was fun to watch.
All right. Wait. Get in here.
I'm tired.
Any final thoughts? Final takeaways, final thoughts from you.
For me, I like him. I want to see what happens with him. I will follow his next few fights. I don't know. Will he get a hometown fight now? Will that?
He's on his way.
He's on. Yeah, I would like to see that homecoming for him. I think that'd be fun. But I don't know who that would be against.
I mean,
I'm not too familiar.
So all the 140s are coming up. Mm-hmm. Devin's coming to welterweight. Uh-huh. Devin said he called him ass this week.
Oh, one is Brian Norman on Twitter.
He is, but not really.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, he is, but not really.
Like
I have more followers.
Somebody said he's on a Twitter kid.
I have more followers.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Somebody said he's on a Twitter kid, and I kind of like that because that's very descriptive of this generation. Like, how much do they?
I said he reminds me of an early 2000s guy.
Yeah. Down to the hat. Down to
the fitted cap. Everyone wears the snapback now. No. Brian Norman, fitted cap.
Yeah.
Brian Norman, not on Twitter like that.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Norman is actually from a time machine in 2003.
Brian Norman.
2002.
What was his favorite Dragon Ball? It was
Gohan going Super Saiyan 2.
Yeah.
Brian Norman is in.
He answered that quick too.
He's from the George Clinton mothership. He's from the mothership.
He's from the mothership.
He is not from this time.
That is
He is totally from 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
The boxing world's been blessed with a time traveler from the early 2000s Atlanta.
Brian Norman, I liked it when he used that jab a lot. The jab, and then I liked it when
and he'd sweep the right hand. You didn't know if he was going to go straight, sweep, uppercut.
I'm a little concerned about his stamina.
Does
he get a second wind?
Well, he's a muscle-bound guy,
that's
those guys
hard.
can get.
They get tired.
Yeah, listen.
Another thing. he came out excited every time in the first half of every round, and I know that was his I feel like that became his take, like let me just before he because Sasaki started to build up in the second half of every round, and then so he's like, my opportunity's right here in this first. But I don't know,
he fought a good ass fight.
I liked him. I liked him.
Get some
I'm
rest.
excited.
Get some
Sorry,
rest. Love you, babe.
I'm delusional.
You know what she got me as another Father's Day gift? Look what wifey got me, and it's only right.
For the goat.
It's only right for the GOAT, baby. All right. Let's call BT. Jameson Childress, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Said, great fight, but this should have been here in the State Farm. Let me see here. She likes that jab. She did. She liked the jab, Ace Guapo. Hey, she could give even better analysis. That she's fucking tired. It's 5 a.m. She's got to wake the kids up in a little bit. But all right, let's call Brendan and see if we can get Brendan, who was at the fight, to hop on the live. Any reports on Spence Jr. returning? No. We asked Jamal Charlo about it a couple weeks ago, and he said he's chilling on the ranch. So, come on, Brendan. The people need this. Answer the phone, Brendan. Brian Norman just made 147 hot. Ooh, Brian Norman and Rolly. I got Brian Norman. I think Brian Norman is, if Boots moves up, I think Brian Norman is the best welterweight in the game. I think, I think he's the best. Now, he's not he's a fighter that got some, Jesus. All right, let's just give up. It's not going to look good. Brian Norman isn't jump off the screen as a future pound-for-pound #1 candidate. Might not even be a top 10. I could see him working his way into becoming a pound-for-pound top 10 guy. I don't know. I don't think making a run for #1's realistic. Not everyone is meant to be that kind of champion and fighter, but I think he's good. And I suspected, and he showed it tonight, that he has underrated boxing skills. And I said that on Sean's show, that I suspected in this fight he would showcase that against an all-out slugger. He would show the difference between himself and an actual crude slugger and show you that that's not what he is. Because some people probably think that is what Brian Norman is a strong guy at welterweight in a weak welterweight division, but kind of a crude guy. Because he looked like that in some of his fights against Boca Chica or Quentin Quick Draw Randall. But as a champion, entering his mid-20s, he's coming into his own, and I see him growing before our eyes as a champion. And again, I think he's someone we should get behind, because he's not a guy that was one of the anointed ones. He's had to earn his way on our radar. The anointed ones earn their way to their belts. I mean, you could get all the opportunities. If you suck, you're not going to become multiple-time world champion. So they're all really good. But a guy like Brian Norman, who again is a little bit more down to earth, has had to get it more from the back door, from pause, right? Has had to get it from the back route rather than Golden Road paved to the title. So I just think he's a guy that's been slept on. Literally, we made that joke enough. He was literally slept on, and now I think he's getting some shine. I suspect he's going to get some shine off this knockout. So, and now people want to see him. I do think Brian Norman has become one of those must-see fighters. Not, it's going to be entertaining. He's an entertaining fighter. And a lot of times, my favorite kind of fighters, this is why I love David Benavidez, this is why I love Jaron Ennis, this is why I love Ban Rodriguez, Terrence Crawford falls underneath this too, or Inoue screams this, represents it probably the best out of anybody. I love fighters that are pound for pound top 10 most exciting, and pound for pound top 10 period most skilled, the best. Whenever you get a fighter who can simultaneously be both in the sport, you have a special fighter potentially. And Norman isn't there yet, because he's not top 10 pound for pound skills and just best overall. I think he's top 10 most exciting. And I think based on that, in addition to him being, in my view, a quality world champion, he has become must-see TV if you're a boxing head, Brian Norman Jr. And he's become one of my favorite fighters to cover and to watch. And yeah, he's become one of my favorite guys to watch. And give me more of this. Give me more of that. Give me more of 2 title defenses and knockouts, one of them being on enemy territory, back-to-back in about 3.5 months. Give me more of that. And less, diva talk over the course of a year. Just keeping it real. Give me more of that. Give me more of this Brian Norman, knocking motherfuckers out and defending the title twice in 3 months. Give me more of that energy in boxing and a little bit less of the prolonged divadom sometimes. Just keeping it real. Those guys are great fighters in their own right, too. And they're all more decorated and right now ahead of Brian Norman, right? I'm not, putting Norman ahead of them, but I like what he's been bringing to the game since the Santillan fight. And for what it's worth, I heard he really held his own against Terrence Crawford in 2021 when they sparred. Brendan, here we go. BT!
What's up, man?
Man, can I send you the Zoom link?
Send me the Zoom link.
All right, we're going to have BT. All right, I'm sending it now. All right, peace. Oh, yeah. You thought it was over? You thought it was done? It has just begun. Let's go. You thought it was over. Hold on. How am I going to make this work? Chat? All right, hold on. Here's what we're going to have to do. We have to take it to Zoom. Here's what we're going to have to do. Hold on. All right. I'm going to have to turn this webcam off for I will go quiet for 1 second because I have to make a Zoom meeting that Brendan can join. Hold on. Uh-oh. So this is going to be hard because I got to close OBS. 1 second. Yeah, this is a little tough to pull off here in Finette. How am I going to do this? All right, hold on. So here's my Zoom, and I'm trying to bring my face up. All right, this is going to be a little tricky, chat. All right, hold on, chat. I'll be right back. Let me set this up. One second, chat. Stick with me. Does everybody see me in here? All right. Does everybody see me? So we're going to bring Brendan in now, straight from Japan. All right, you guys see me? Cool. All right, we're going to bring in Brendan now. And I'm just waiting for him to get in here. Let me check my audio, make sure I'm good. See me in here. Okay, cool. You guys see me. All right. Apologize for this setup, but this is how I had to do it to get BT in here. From Japan. We had to get someone live from Japan on the ground. All right. Just waiting on Brendan. But let me see what's going on in the chat. You're mad close. I know. I don't know why. All of a sudden on Zoom, I get zoomed in. It's called Zoom. It is called Zoom. So I guess it would stand to reason that they'd zoom me in. Brendan, you guys can shoot some shit my way until Brendan gets here. Audio's cutting in and out. Is it? Let me see. Audio? Hold on. Audio's in and out. All right, hold on. Still? We should be good. Norman versus Tio. Who you got? I got Norman. Does everybody see me? All right. BT, where you at? I'm going to call Brendan again and say, come on, man. You bullshitting. We got the people waiting. Come on, BT. I'm good on audio. All right, thank you, Bebop. Thank you, everyone. You ready, bro? Hop in, brother. Link is at your email.
You email? Okay.
Yep.
I'll go right now.
All right, hop in.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? What's he doing? What's taking us so long? I'm going to beat Brendan's ass. You guys could tell him I said that, too. Yeah. The shifting on the goalpost on Sasaki is crazy. Some of you have no shame. It's okay, Sean. I'll transcribe. I'm good at reading lips. Casey Diamante. Would Boots get the same praise as Norman if he KO'd Sasaki? No, not quite. Not quite. Boots, heading into this fight, is thought of on a different caliber than Brian Norman Jr. You know, people didn't consider Brian Norman on that caliber. So his expectations are lower. So he gets more credit for this kind of knockout. You know, that's how that works. Audio's Gucci. Okay, we're good. All right. Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. He's here. Uh-oh. What's up, Brendan? Let's go. Bro, let them know where you're at. Where were you just at? Where were you? Where are you coming from? Let's go.
So I was in there at the Ota City
recording
General
in
Gymnasium.
progress.
That's the arena?
Can you see me? Yeah. Yeah, the arena is right at that door. So
okay, so that
was
was the site
I watched
of
Brian Norman Jr. get the 2025 knockout of the year. That's what I did.
So it's crazy, Brendan. Something about Brendan Taylor and knockouts of the year. They follow him. Brendan was there when Angelo Leo knocked out Venado Lopez in New Mexico last year. He's in Japan when Brian Norman gets the knockout of 2025. Brendan, what is it? What is it about you? What's going on?
I have an appetite for aggression and I guess you could say destruction in boxing. So I always look for fights in the schedule that I feel will deliver an explosive outcome. And when I remember back in September when I looked at the rankings one day, I saw Brian Norman and Jin Sasaki ranked near each other, and I said, "Oh wow, they're gonna fight." And I said, "Wow, that's gonna be an explosive fight." And it didn't fail to deliver. It delivered us a very, very explosive outcome. And Brian Norman Jr. has raised his stock 100-fold. I feel, at least.
Yeah, he definitely has. But here's the thing, though, that we were off about a little bit. We thought Sasaki would provide a more competitive foil. We thought this would be more of a two-way fight. How much credit does Norman get when it looked like Sasaki was actually, out of his depth? He goes down on the first left hook he gets hit with. Like, how much credit does Brian really get, you think, from the public?
Yeah.
Damn, Brendan, stop. Maybe stop walking because the internet's getting worse.
Okay, hold on. Let me go back to where I was standing because you know how these boxing events go, Sean. The security tries to kick you out. They start staring at you.
I hear you. Do what you got to do. But no, go on. Break
Am
it
I
down.
good now?
Yeah, you're good.
So, what was the question again? I'm sorry. What was the question?
How much credit do you think Norman really gets with the public? Not us, but with the public. And how much does his stock really go up when it does look like Sasaki was out of his depth in this fight?
Yeah, I don't think people are going to give him the credit for the opposition. He'll get credit and he'll get his stock raised because of the outcome. Because you could fight somebody who's overmatched, but it's one thing to knock them out. It's another thing to put them on a stretcher. And I hope Sasaki's okay. But that's like one of them knockouts that you're gonna remember. Like, where was I when Brian Norman knocked out Sasaki with the left hook? So I think I can't speak for the world, but I would hope that it's enough for people to at least tell Jerron Ennis to stay at 147 because. I don't like how Jerron Ennis waited till the day of the fight to announce he was going up. I don't think it was a coincidence either.
You know what's funny, Brendan? We joked before the fight. We were like, everybody agrees that Brian Norman priced himself out with Boots and he can't mess with Boots and that basically he ducked Boots. And we were like, man, don't let Brian Norman get in there and have a brutal knockout, and we'll start talking stupid and just to counterbalance them, because I don't think Jerron Ennis is ducking Brian Norman. I still got to give him the edge over Brian Norman, but yeah, go ahead, Brendan. I think you'll do it. Okay. I think you'll do that silly shit. But what do you think about all that, man?
What?
That.
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. Good to see you. Big knockout. Is he okay? Is Jin okay? Yes. He's good? But he's awake? Okay. He's awake. Oh, so Jin, for those wondering, Jin Sasaki is awake. So one of his sponsors just told me.
Okay, yeah, because again, Brennan was literally at the fight. But no, yeah. Why did Boots have to announce that the day before Norm? Like, why did he wait until Norman was ready to fight Sasaki to tell everyone, hey, just so you know, it was like he knew, like, hey, I know Brian Norman's about to show out in Japan, so let me take all the air out of that balloon before it even gets started. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no. I think he had a feeling. You know, he probably went ahead and watched some tape and probably thought that Brian was gonna do what he did, and you know, I just don't like it, man, because I told you this many times and I've said it on my own channel. Like, Boots, with his business, like with his career decisions, it's felt like very Demetrius Andrade-esque at times, where he's got all the talent in the world to be this like Hall of Fame talent, Hall of Fame fighter, but he's getting in his own way. Now, of course, there's great fights at 154, Sean, right?
Big time.
But let me ask you a question. Do you really think, and I'll ask the chat this too, do you guys really think Jerron Ennis is going to fight anybody that's a big name in his first fight at 154?
He's going to fight Murta Zaliyev. Bakram, 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 Murta.
I don't think so. I think he winds up fighting like a Ioannis Talise or something like that. Win like an interim title, you know, Crawford goes up, he beats Talise, he gets elevated, that kind of thing. You know,
yeah.
so are you guys gonna tell me? Are you guys gonna sit here and tell me with a straight face you want to see Boots fight Ioannis Talise more than Brian Norman Jr.? Because if you
there
do,
you go.
then,
there you go. Discrediting fighters, Brendan. Hating on fighters. He's moving up to fight an undefeated Cuban champion. Undefeated Cuban champion.
But why not fight?
You media guys never boxed professionally before, and you sit there in your hat in Japan, and you say, Ioannis Talise is an undefeated Cuban champion. Why are you not happy with that matchup?
Because I want to see him fight the undefeated American champion. How about that?
Our boy Boog,
like,
LW Boxing goes, nah,
concept?
Sean, Bakram's got... I know he's not fighting Bakram, Boog. I'm being a jackass.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to do the Murta Zaliyev song.
No, of course. Is that like a new thing you have going on now?
I've been doing it since he beat Tim Tszyu. He was my background on my phone for 3 weeks because I never wanted to be that wrong about a fight again.
No, that I knew. I just didn't know that you had a whole song. I never heard the song until just now.
No, but I mean, the Tellez fight sounds kind of realistic. Look, I think he's inevitably gonna fight the top dogs at 54 if he moves up, though, and he will be champion at 54.
For sure, but to quote Boots in his recent interview with YSM Sports Media, you know, he's 28 years old. He's starting to, you know, get up there in age a little bit. Like, he's not old, but you know, he's getting close to 30. He's yet to be in a real significant fight, and here we have a real significant fight in the welterweight division. Especially now after this big knockout, just do the right thing. Do the right thing and fight. Like, okay, obviously it takes two to tango. We know Brian Norman Jr. turned down the 1.7. We could give our theories as to why.
But when Eddie Hearn says that Stan Jonas makes more than I hate getting into this fucking shit once we start talking about promoters and money, but Eddie said that Stan Jonas made more than Boots. So technically, if you're asking for what Stan Jonas winds up getting, are you pricing yourself out? You are, because just because he's getting it doesn't mean you're going to get it. But I'm asking for what the other champions get. He's got one belt like I got one belt. I don't know. And it's just the part of it that feels funny is
2 defenses.
Yeah. But the part that feels funny about it is like, I can't go to 54 to fight Virgil last year. Why? Well, I got to stay at 47. I want to become undisputed at 47. It's like, okay, there wasn't a fight anyone gave a fuck about at 47 when you said I have to stay here. Nobody wanted you to stay here, but you said I am, and I supported it. Remember, I was like, no, I get it, Jerron. Like, you want to actually accomplish something of note before you leave the welterweight division. Fair enough, right? But now, the real, like, it's here. The fight is actually here.
Correct.
But to be fair, BT, if he's outgrown the weight, he's outgrown the weight, right? Like, we can't if you've outgrown the weight, you've outgrown the weight. But I don't know. What do you say?
No, I understand. Oh no, it just seems too convenient. Like I know I've seen Boots in person. I know how big he is, like as a welterweight. But bro, like it's too convenient. Like that you wait for the day of the fight to announce that. Like if you would announced it even a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Why didn't you tell us this a month or two
I would have
ago?
said okay. If you would have announced it after trying. That's what I'm saying. Like if you would have announced it maybe even after trying to negotiate the Brian Norman Jr. fight, okay, you would have got a pass. But you literally waited for the day of his fight to do that, and so I don't believe that it's a coincidence. I believe that because everybody says that Boots humiliated Brian Norman in sparring supposedly. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Maybe he got the better of him, but I think there was something in the ring that
okay, that might be true, but I've heard just as many people say that Brian Norman got the better of Terrence Crawford in sparring. So, okay, maybe Boots did get off on him, but maybe he got off on arguably the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world too. So,
correct. So, but my thing is, I think Boots, he saw something in the ring that he knows would be a very, very challenging. And let's be real, like Boots and Norman were both managed by the same person, which is Cameron Duncan, the late Cameron Duncan, who was one of the greatest boxing managers of all time.
okay. Yeah, shout out to Cameron.
One thing that Boots and Brian both have in common, before Cameron Duncan passed, is that neither one of them really fought any punchers. Neither one of them really fought any punchers until like Brian Norman with his last couple of fights with Santillan and Jin. And I mean, I don't know who's the biggest puncher Boots has fought.
Villa.
Who do you think it is, Sean?
Villa.
Villa? Okay, Villa. I mean, he fought Roman Villa. Cool. Like Ricardo Salas knocked out Roman Villa in 5 rounds. So it's like, can we just do the right thing? Like I'm not trying to be like a hater, but like, can we just do the right thing? Like I don't want to put these semantics.
Can we do the right thing?
1.7.
Yeah. Brendan,
can we do the right thing for American boxing?
No, we cannot. Because it's boxing, and it's boxing in America, and it's the 2020s. So to answer your question, no, we cannot do the right thing. We can't do the right thing with this fight, and we won't do the right thing with anything else either. So get used to it, or just stay your ass in Japan, Brendan.
Well, people always get on my case. They say, BT, why do you make so many videos about Japanese boxing? I'm like, because they with the shits. They get to the fights.
No. Hey, Inoue and Nakatani are marinating right now.
Yeah, they're marinating. Okay, so they have their own politics here. I get that.
Ioka and Inoue didn't fight.
Not as much. No, they didn't.
No, they did not. Okay.
They did not.
Our dysfunction is worldwide.
Just make Brian Norman versus Boots, or Boots. Just make the damn fight. Like, I'm sure if the money is right, Jerron Ennis will find a way to get a nutritionist and get down to 147. He had no problem doing it for Stanley Honest. He can do it one more time for Brian Norman Jr.
You know what? And similarly, same thing for Devin Haney with Richardson Hitchens. Okay.
Yeah.
If you cannot get down, if I am asking you to do something you are physically incapable of doing, fair enough. But for Jerron Ennis and Devin Haney, if you can make that weight still, then we need to see that fight. So, I mean, I guess it's funny because those two fights are kind of connected. If Ennis moves up from welterweight and he's done for good, then maybe Haney and Hitchens could fight for the IBF title that he vacates or the WBA title he vacates at welterweight. At which point, okay, cool. All right, Haney Hitchens, 47 for a belt. Okay, that works. But what I'd rather see happen is both of them have to make 40 and 47 one more time, and Haney fight Hitchens and Boots fight Norman.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like you can't go around, and this goes to all fighters. You can't go around saying you're the big bad wolf, and then when another big bad wolf comes knocking on the door, you want to start talking about I want to go to this weight class, and you announce it on the day of his fight.
It's true.
Like so,
it feels a little Floyd Mayweather-ish, like when Canelo or Pacquiao would have a fight, and he would just do an interview or say something to kind of take the play away the week of their fight. Yeah, it kind of feels like that.
Yeah, and I've spoken to the Normans this week in the build to this fight, and Brian Norman Sr.'s dad has been extra adamant about he's been telling Bozy and them, your son can't punch, this, that, and the third. So okay, prove him wrong. Prove that Brian Norman Sr. is lying. Everybody gets mad at Brian Norman Sr. for running his mouth, but like the guy that's capable of shutting him up is not trying to fight.
Right.
And I don't want to hear about they made an offer. Okay, you made one offer to him after he just became champion.
Dude, he's 23. Boots, when you were 23, did you fight Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford? Like, did you fight the best fighter in your division at 23? Like, no. Norman has gotten a little bit of seasoning now and 2 title defenses. Now he's a lot more ready for this kind of assignment, you know? And I get it. Once you're world champ, no one wants to hear that shit. If you're world champion, it's time to fight the best. So I get it. But the fight is way better now than it was 9 months ago.
Correct. And, you know, pretty much any and every champion in boxing, with the exception of a few, when you win your first world title, you always get that first offense, that voluntary, just to, you know, stay busy, make some money. So, like, they know they know the game.
What was that like in the arena?
Hello?
Yeah, what was that like in the arena?
It was crazy because, you know, the Japanese crowd, you know, it's known for being very subdued, and they were their normal selves, but like I think they were a little bit more up for it because of the occasion of, you know, potentially the first Japanese welterweight champion being crowned. And I'm gonna say, yeah, rounds 3 and 4, you know, Jin had some good moments. I don't know if you gave him any of those rounds, Sean, but you know, I thought he could have won at least one of those rounds. So it felt like in the arena he was starting to build at least a little momentum. No?
I mean, he was dangerous throughout, and I do think some of his left hooks got Norman's attention, for sure. And Norman had a good poker face and didn't let him know that it got his attention. So, but no, I don't think he actually won a round.
Oh, okay. I thought he won a round, but
fights are different on TV. You're there like live. It's a different look.
Yeah.
Why did it look like he won a round live? Yeah.
Because he was pushing him back, and then in the rounds 3 and 4, he started boxing more consistently behind the jabs, the stomach, and it gave the impression that he from in the arena it looked like he might have won a round off of effective aggression. So it felt like there that, you know, even though Jin could barely stand straight in round 3, that he was gonna maybe survive at least to the 6th or 7th and maybe catch a second wind. But right when we got that feeling in the arena, Brian Norman landed the kill shot, and when he hit the ground, I remember I just glanced at his head as he was going to the canvas, and I saw it bounce up and down, and I'm like, oh no, I've seen this movie before in person, and you know, I don't like being right about certain things, but I did say in the build-up to this fight that what makes Jin so dangerous for not just Brian Norman but any welterweight is that to beat him, you're gonna have to beat him to the point where they carry him out the ring, and that's exactly what happened. They had to carry Jin Sasaki out of the ring. Thankfully, I was just informed about 10 minutes ago by one of his sponsors that I know that he is breathing, he is alive, he is conscious, but it was very scary.
Yeah,
might be the best knockout. It's in the running for the best knockout I've ever seen live.
Yeah, and you were there when Wilder knocked out Stavern in the first round in Brooklyn, so you've seen some good knockouts.
Yep. Yeah. So it was special. It was honestly the ideal title defense in Japan for Brian Norman Jr. He showed a little bit of everything. He showed his boxing skills.
Yep.
He showed his counter punching, and then he showed that ability to put the exclamation point on everything. So it's amazing, and I hope that regardless of what's been said between both teams, that Brian Norman and Jaron Ennis can sit down to the table as top elite upper echelon warriors of the sport and give the boxing fans in America a great unification fight.
Yeah, and you know, peep the creativity on offense from Norman tonight. Sometimes leading with the right hand, sometimes throwing the up jab. I know the lights just went out on you. Sometimes throwing the up jab. He was doubling up the jab to sweep the right hand. He went to that body, uppercuts, left hooks, right hands, throwing the right hand 2 or 3 different styles, and always using the jab and good defense in this fight against a guy who doesn't have the most sophisticated approach. He saw a lot of things coming and defended well.
Nah, and to do that on Japanese on foreign soil is it makes it more impressive, because I know from being here just a month ago when Angelo fought, you know, Kameda, I was in the dressing room. I seen a lot of how difficult it can be to win here. So you know, I respect the Normans. You know, Norman's dad, I talked to him a lot. in the middle to the fight, and he said very clearly to me, he said, "Look, you guys think Jin is this big puncher, and we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to be right here for him, and we're gonna beat the brakes off of him." And
we counterpunched him.
They did exactly what they said they were going to do.
He just was efficient. He took little half steps back. He didn't use excessive movement. He didn't need to bounce a lot. He stepped around the ring and counterpunched really well against a guy who's not the hardest guy to counterpunch, but he did it really well.
No, of course not. But
so
he did
BT,
really well,
a few things.
When you fight someone that.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Man, I'm gonna tell you some of the things the chat are saying.
I was gonna say when you fight someone that you know is gonna throw a lot of high output of punches, it's still hard to think under duress, even if he is defensively irresponsible. Because there's a lot of guys that are defensively irresponsible that throw a high volume of punches with bad intentions, and they're not easy to just counter punch for a whole fight the way Brian Norman did. So he deserves a lot of credit
because he kept his calm in the eye of the storm. If you're jittery and that heat coming your way makes you bounce out of range, and then you can't counterpunch because you're out of range, bouncing out of range, and feet aren't set and all that. So yeah, good point, Brendan. I just want to say, there's people saying we gassed Norman Sasaki up too much. Yeah, we overestimated his chances in this fight. We thought he'd make it more competitive. That's fair. And then someone said, look, keep the same energy. When Boots gets hit, you say he has no defense. When Norman gets hit, now you got to say he has no defense. me or Brendan haven't said that Boots doesn't have no defense.
I never said Boots has no defense. I don't know where they got that from.
Yeah, exactly. Boots has got a lot of defense. It's just sometimes he's defensively careless and irresponsible. But when he wants to, he can make you miss 7-punch combinations with upper body movement and hit nothing but air. He's actually a high-level, inconsistent defensive fighter who doesn't tuck his chin the best.
Correct.
Yeah, but his defense is inconsistent. He'll have 3 sequences of brilliance, and then 1 sequence where his chin's wearing a shot because he's not staying responsible.
Part of the reason why I feel Jaron Ennis is irresponsible goes back to my original point of basically, he's not really fighting guys who are punchers. So when you're fighting somebody that you know doesn't pose any threat to you, you can sit in the pocket, you can roll shots, you can let them get off 2 or 3 to get your 1 or 2 off. I think if he fights a guy like Brian Norman Jr., you're going to see a more defensively sound Jaron Ennis. So no, I don't think he has terrible defense. And in fact, when he's fought Karen and guys where he's gotten hit and people say he has bad defense, I made it a point to say no, he does not have defense. If you go back and watch the videos. Yeah.
So we got a super chat from DQuest007. He says, can Haney outbox Norman Jr.? I got Norman Jr. in that fight.
No, I don't think he can outbox Brian Norman Jr.
No, I mean, he could. I just don't think he would.
Because Brian's maturing and not just that, we don't know what Devin Haney is. Like, Devin Haney hasn't, he fought Jose Ramirez, who was a fantastic fighter, in his prime, but, it's a very compromised version of him at 147, and he still didn't really show that ability or the willingness to exchange or put up a dominant performance. So I think against Norman, who really, as we saw tonight, I mean, if you've had any doubts before, let there be no doubts anymore, Brian Norman is really punching like that. And what was the punch that knocked out Jin Sasaki tonight?
It was a left hook.
The left hook. And what has Devin Haney had problems with defending his whole career?
Whether it's a southpaw or an orthodox fighter, the left hand.
Exactly. So, I think if he were to fight a guy like Brian Norman Jr., who he said is quote unquote ass, he would have some demons to overcome if he gets hit by Brian Norman Jr. I have zero doubt about that. He has to overcome some things mentally. But
look, Haney doesn't have the length advantage he's enjoyed at lightweight and 140 against Norman. I don't believe he has a longer reach than Brian Norman. I don't think he's a more gifted athlete than Brian Norman. I think they're both athletic. But Norman is a grown-ass man, country strong at welterweight. He punches much harder than Haney. And I think, unfortunately for Haney, who called him ass this week, he's not ass. He does have skill to go with that power and size at 47, and he's a good athlete. So I got Norman. I got Norman against Haney. And I got Norman against Lopez, but Lopez could beat Norman. That's a hell of a fight. Someone asked earlier in the chat, did Boots duck Tio? Look, I didn't say that Boots ducked Tio, just like I didn't say Tio ducked Devin. Those were all negotiations over in Riyadh season type fights, and I don't know. It's, the guys didn't want to take the offers. If you out there watching want to call Tio a duck for turning down $11 million to fight Devin Haney, I get it. If you want to call Boots a duck for ducking Tio, fine, I get it. Me personally, I don't know. I didn't feel compelled to call anybody a duck. It's just fights I don't know. That's just me.
I won't say it's a duck, but what I will say is, when Boots was, campaigning at 47, I've always said that if he wants to, make his name bigger in the sport, the Teofimo Lopez fight would make a lot of sense for like the Jaron Ennis marketability and the profile. He easily be the most accomplished fighter Boots has fought in his career to date. So
I mean, you had two great options at 47. Isn't this what you stuck around 147 for? Is for big fights, not just Stan Jonas. So now you got the super lightweight champion who's a star in TO, or a dude has risen up to be that clear cut number 2 guy to fight for the welterweight titles, and he's moving up. We're beating a dead horse. It is what it is. And some people in the chat said, BT, be fair to Boots. To that you say?
How am I not being fair?
I don't know.
What did I say about Boots that was
I think they would
not
say
a fact or not correct?
I think they would say, look, Boots Norman priced himself out and the dude outgrew the weight. So what's the criticism? Like what are you two bitching about? I think we've explained pretty well.
The criticism, yeah, we have. We don't gotta beat a dead horse, bro.
No, go ahead. No, because they asked.
I was gonna say so look, on this panel you have Sean Zittel, right? We had differing opinions on what Boots should do within the last year.
Wait 1 second, just 1 second. Someone in the chat said Haney is the youngest undisputed ever. Put some respect on his name. Respect. Okay, here it is. Here's the respect. 23 years old, youngest undisputed lightweight champion, 5-time world champion in 2 weight classes.
Stefano Whitaker.
Can you live and breathe now? Can grown men finish their discussion? As you were saying, go ahead.
So what I was saying was, what were you talking about? I got completely off track.
They're talking about be fair to Boots, and you were going to reply. You are being fair, yeah.
Okay. So you have 2 people on this panel, right? Sean and me have different stances on what Boots should have did over the last year. Sean took the stance of Boots should stay at 147 and solidify himself. And then you have me, who's been yelling and screaming from the mountaintops since before Brian Noma even beat Santion that Boots should move the hell up to 154. Now, when I made
I actually said go to 54 too back in 2024. I said fight Tim Tszyu, cut Crawford before Crawford got to 54. You go to 54 and get a belt. But then once this Canelo shit started happening, I said, okay, fine, stay at 47. You're right. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so I said that I was screaming for the mountaintops to go to 54, and every Boots fan on YouTube would tell me, BT, he wants to stay at 147 to solidify himself. So I was mad for a long time, and I would reply to them saying that he's being ridiculous. There's not really anybody there. But guess what? He waited around so long ago that he allowed someone to emerge that I actually want to see him fight. That's actually a compelling fight. That's actually a young, undefeated, dangerous, hard-punching, fellow prime American fighter, and that guy is the brother from Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Brian Nolan Jr. So if you can't make the weight, I fully understand it. But if you really want to fight Brian Nolan Jr., like you always said you did, I would try to revisit that negotiation one more time. And if they start pump faking, then you have every right in the world to say, you know what, this guy's not serious, his management team's not serious. I'm gonna go to 154. I'm gonna go pursue those other guys. Like what really works against Boots, when I discussed this too, is the fact that he turned down a Virgil Ortiz fight. Like he was offered a Virgil Ortiz fight on the principle that he couldn't make he wanted to stay at 147.
And I heard from people in the business close to PBC that right before he left for Matchroom to sign his 3 fights with Eddie, he had an offer to fight Tim Tszyu in what eventually became the Fundora Tszyu fight in March of 2024. So he's had opportunities to get big fights at 54, but he turned them down to finish his claim at 47. Yeah, go ahead.
So try and finish it.
So try to finish it.
All I'm doing is holding Boots up.
What did Kobe say after the Lakers went up 2-0 against the Magic? What did he say?
He said, "Job not finished. Job
What did
not
he
done."
say?
He said, "Job not finished. Job not done."
Job's not finished.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Job's not finished. To quote Kobe Bryant.
You be standing honest, all right? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if Boots will ever get Barrios in the ring. That one, it's tough.
Forget Barrios. Barrios is, making his money fighting a 46-year-old Pacquiao. PBC will probably look to match him with Rolly Romero. They're not trying to match him with no Boots Ennis or Brian Norman. Respect to Barrios.
Okay.
I think he's going to beat Pacquiao, but levels.
Yeah, but I feel like this fight right here is it's the unofficial undisputed fight of the welterweight division.
Absolutely.
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 Norman and Boots.
Yeah.
That if you're looking to truly solidify yourself, with all respect to Stanley who's a good fighter, this is how you fully solidify yourself. Stanley alone is not solidification of being the best welterweight in the world, and I don't care if Ring Magazine put the belt on the line. I was the first person when they announced it that said that it shouldn't be on the line, because Stanley in my opinion, is not better than Brian Norman Jr., and he never really proved to be better than Brian Norman Jr. definitively. So how can you put the Ring Magazine belt on the line and say that this guy's number one and this guy's number two? I feel like now Boots has done what he needs to do. Brian Norman has been doing what he needs to do. This is number one versus number two. This is the actual fight that will solidify you. So it's no hate, it's no disrespect. I like Boots. I've been to his gym in Philly. I know Bozy. I got Bozy's number in my phone. They're cool people.
So we got people in the chat. It says, are you guys doctors? Are you guys doctors? No, we're not. And if Boots can't make the weight anymore, then all right, everything we said is null and void. And okay, fine. But if he can, then he should fight Brian Norman, and that would finish his claim. Then the job is finished at welterweight. So that's it. In conclusion,
can someone in the chat just answer this question for me? Why did Boots wait till the day of Brian Norman's fight to announce this? Do you think it was a coincidence? Do you guys think it was an honest coincidence? Because I don't. I don't think it. Eddie Hearn started it first, couple earlier in the week, and then Boots waited to the day of the fight to do that. So I just, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm being too harsh, but I don't think it's a coincidence, because Jaron Ennis is a nice person. He's a nice, well-mannered, kid who grew up in the boxing gym.
Yeah.
I've almost never heard him talk trash, but one of the few times he has talked trash, he called Brian Norman trash. So there's definitely something there in his spirit that he feels towards Brian Norman Jr. So I feel like he's being petty. That's what I believe.
He's on his Floyd Mayweather. I'm gonna steal the thunder from your show the week of, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that kind of thing. And all I want to do is just see the best fight the best. And I think Brian, I'm giving Boots credit. I'm giving Boots respect. I'm calling him the best, one of the best in the division, if not the best. I want to know for 100% fact who truly is the best, and I won't know until Brian Norman Jr. and Boots fight each other. That will be the determining factor.
Well, all right. It looks like some of the Boots fans are not happy with what we're saying. We're sorry that we want to see the best fight in the welterweight division. We're sorry.
I don't care.
My bad.
This is yeah.
I feel bad now. Now I feel like I'm doing something wrong. How dare?
You know what? Let's hype up the Boots versus Jesus Ramos or Joannes Talis fight.
I like that. Or Boachuk or Magdaleno.
Or Brian Mendoza.
Yeah.
Or Brian Mendoza. By Brian Mendoza.
I want to see that more than the Norman fight. I do.
Of course. Yeah, the Brian Mendoza fight is the fight that's going to get Boots to the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Why not?
So, all right. Well, Virgil versus Boots is a much better fight. Virgil versus Boots is a great fight, but
we love to see it.
It's not number one versus. There's a lot of business that has to be handled at 54 for those two men to fight for the crown at 154. There's Fundora up there. There's Bakram. And a couple others. Xander Zayas is fighting for the. That's a good fight, by the way. The Xander fight on the. That's gonna be a good fight.
But there's a lot of yellow. No, I'm excited about that. Seeing Xander get a shot at the belt. There's a lot of yellow tape Boots has to get across before he even thinks about Virgil. And I mean, I wish in a perfect world, I wish we could just get Boots versus
Norman
Virgil.
versus Polanco. Yeah.
Great fight.
That's a good ass fight.
That's a tough fight. That's a very tough fight for anyone. Brian Polanco, you know, he's not getting a lot of the fanfare and the headlines because he don't speak English and he's from the Dominican Republic. But that dude is dangerous, very dangerous guy. And I think him and Norman will be fireworks.
I'm gonna look up the rankings real quick at welterweight because I want to see if Boots is done at 47. Who's up next at IBF and WBA?
Okay.
So right now, Norman's mandatory would be Alexis Roca. Meh. He definitely beats Roca. That's an ugly fight for Roca.
Sure.
Roca's okay. So for Boots' belts, Crocker from the UK, Donovan from Ireland.
Come on, like what are we doing here?
And then with the WBA, Rolly would be elevated to full champion, and Giasov, right? Giasov, Haney's number 2, Ryan's number 3 still for some reason. Okay, so Haney is positioned to fight for the WBA, you know, regular belt. It's funny, Haney and Rolly are kind of positioned to fight each other. That is a good fight, Haney and Rolly, but yeah, man. It's thin at welterweight once Boots moves up.
Yeah, I mean, the division's going to hell regardless, so can we at least go out with a bang? Can we go with...
Yeah. I don't think these 40-pounders in Haney and Lopez are really going to try to fight Norman.
Nah.
I
mean, it was reported last year at some point that Tio actually had the opportunity to fight Norman, and he decided to go another route. So
Right. So there you go. But
there's that, and then after that knockout,
yeah, Raul Curiel, Chronic Boxing News, is a good contender. I see he's in the top 7 for the. He's solid. You know, he's solid.
He's solid. He's okay. You know, he needs to go rematch Rocha because it's debatable if he even beat Rocha.
Stanley Gist, who said he'll never listen to us talk boxing again. Why didn't Norman take the Boots fight? Well, I don't know. He turned it down. Most people would feels as though he outpriced himself. I said he outpriced himself. I still think they just didn't want to take the fight. They just didn't feel. Brian Norman was 23. He had just had his first title fight. Ennis is 27. So they turned it down. They ducked that fight at that time. But the pricing themselves out narrative takes a hit when Eddie reveals that Stan Jonas made more than Boots, which would be more than what he was offering Brian Norman. That takes a little bit of a hit. And now the fight it makes a lot more sense and is bigger now. Norman has gotten 2 title defenses under his belt, so he's more prepared for that assignment now. Now is the time to make the fight. And Boots, for the millionth time, who said he had to stay at this weight class to finish it, you know. And again, job's not finished, but he's moving up. If his body can't make the weight anymore, fine. It is what it is.
You know what's funny? People will get in my comment section a lot, and they say, or just not my comment section, all boxing media's comment section, and say, well, why don't you guys hold these fighters accountable for things they say, right? So here I am.
Here we are doing it.
Holding Jerron Ennis accountable for staying at 147, and the Boots fans are getting all angry and butthurt and pissy about it. I'm like, nah, man. You said you wanted to fight at 147. Go fight that country boy from Georgia and solidify yourself. It's a great fight. Like,
great fight.
Boots is gonna have a chance to look great in that fight. Like,
they could put that John in Philly. They could put it in AC. Yeah.
Yeah, they could.
You think Brian Norman Jr. is a smut John? Show him he a smut John.
Yeah.
So who's the smut John? Let's see, but
I don't know who the smut John is,
but man, I think we're good, man.
Hopefully we just get these guys to do what's right for. All right, Sean.
No, let's see. Anything else you guys want us to touch on before we get out of here? Before me and BT call the wrap? I'll give the chat a minute or two to see if there's anything they want us to finish on. But that country boy from Georgia ain't fought nobody, and neither is really Jerron Ennis. Like, Jerron Ennis has fought the best fighter between the two of them, and Sanyones, credit to him for that, but neither one has got an Oscar De La Hoya resume, bro. And they both.
Correct.
Really,
I mean, and you know what? It's not by coincidence. I want everybody to understand that they are both managed by Cameron Duncan.
And
Cameron
boxing fans
Duncan-
gotta stop this. Well, my guy is all these reasons why it doesn't need to happen. Why your favorite fighter doesn't need to fight the other guy. You'd rather win an argument online than have your favorite fighter win the fight in the ring. That shit has to stop. It won't.
Yeah, because it won't. But I don't have a dog in the race. Like if Boots goes in there and just styles on Brian Oman Jr., then fair play to him. Like, and if Brian Oman Jr. goes and clocks Boots and gets him out of there, then good faith for him too. I just want to see the two guys that I know are currently the best in the weight class face off. So that these guys, when they hang their gloves up, there's not all these questions about, oh, why didn't you fight him? Why didn't you do that? I'm about the truth, Sean, and I know with you loving conspiracy theories and being the guy you are, you love the truth too.
I do.
So I just want to know the truth. That's it. I don't want what Eddie Hearn tells me the truth is. I want the boxing ring to tell me what the truth is.
There you go.
So that's where I'm at.
I'm just waiting on my man Matt Borgensen. I missed his super chat earlier, so I told him go ahead and send it again. This time without the super chat attached, and we could answer what Matt had for us.
Okay.
So Karan Jukajan beats all 147 pounders. I don't think so. I mean,
I don't think that, but he's a good fighter.
He's a good fighter.
I would like to respond to that. I would say that I would like to see Cameron fight some of the top contenders and even maybe some of the champions and get to prove himself outside of Jaron Ennis. Because to be fair to him, Jaron Ennis is arguably the best welterweight in the world, and he had to fight him 2 times. So step him down a little bit and let's see where he's at. Because I think it's hard to really quantify what Karen is because he's fought Jaron Boots Ennis twice and he hasn't really fought much of anything else.
Right.
So let's match him up and let's see. It could have just been style matchup, or maybe he actually is really that good of a boxer, but we don't know until he fights other guys.
I'm just waiting on.
I know that people.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, Matt. I was gonna say most of the people that bring up Karen don't even actually like Karen.
No,
They don't even like.
It's being a Boots Ennis fan thing. Some what boxing fans do.
That's how it is. It's one of those things. So
if you talk to a Gervonta Davis fan long enough, they will convince you that Mario Barrios is Sugar Ray Robinson. They will.
Yeah.
Yes, I've done it. I've seen it. Matt Borgensen. Okay, so what he said was, I was just saying that Jin Sasaki should have never got to the 5th round. The fact that the ref didn't stop it after he got dropped from a light jab would have raised red flags to me. This is why Japanese fighters are dying in the ring. BT, what would you say to that?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Just that. I'm like, this is Japan, bro. Like, there's a high tolerance level for the teams to throw in the towel, and like I'm telling you, like if they, that's another reason I said if you in the build up to this fight, Brian Jr. is gonna have to beat Jin Sasaki to where they have to carry him out the ring, because that's just part of how Japanese boxing is. And it's weird because I like the aggression of Japanese fighters and how gruesome some of these fights can be, but there's also the dark side of boxing. These are still human beings with flesh and bones, and the human anatomy is not designed to take this much punishment from guys that can punch like that. So I would agree with Matt. He's right.
Well, what's interesting to Matt's point and what you said is that Papa Inoue, with his candid comments recently that, hey, we might have to pump the brakes on the Nick Ball fight and move into 26 because my son, he fights for the knockout. And if we went to 26 right now and my son would use his speed and his movement and fight to go to the distance, he would be fine at featherweight. But I know my son. My son wants to get the knockout and keep giving people this style that they're falling in love with. So he said, we might not take the Nick Ball fight this year. We might have to take our time going to featherweight so my son can put the strength on and deliver the knockouts he wants. That speaks to your point. Like, here's Inoue with all the foot speed and hand speed and reflexes in the world, but he almost gets himself knocked out by Ramon Cardenas because of how the Japanese view the way you should fight, right?
Correct. Yeah. It's ingrained in the boxing culture here. Like right now, I'm standing right here talking to you, Sean. They got Sora Tanaka standing right over there. I don't know if you can see Sora Tanaka, but he's there with the fans.
Yeah, he was the co-main and won tonight. Yeah.
Co-main event, the Mike Tyson to Yokohama.
Man, get him on the channel, man. Come on, man. Get him some shine. Yeah, get him some shine, man. Sora Tanaka with the fifth round. It was the fifth round TKO, right? Broke.
Yeah. Hold on, let me go say hi to him. Hold on, give me a second. Oh. Hold on. Oh. He's signing autographs right now. I mean, he can't.
Man,
he signed it.
He signed it. Look at him.
Hold on. Yeah. What do you think about the stoppage of his fight?
The dude's jaw looked broke. So
yeah.
Good stoppage.
Tanaka, Soda. America. Yeah.
Good fight, man. Good fight. Congrats. Arigato.
Yeah. Sugoi.
Hey, we had Sora Tanaka on the channel. Let's go, baby.
There you go. You had Sora Tanaka. That's right.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, yeah. But Sean, are we done? Because my phone's gonna die soon. I gotta get on the train.
All right. Last one. From MDA 0214 with the super chat says, why did Norman Jr. call out Ennis after his last fight, then sign a contract for Jin Sasaki instead of waiting for Ennis versus Stanionis winner? Well, I'll say this. He knew the reason why Jin Sasaki was in Las Vegas is that fight was already agreed to. So the press didn't know until about May, late April that Sasaki Norman was official. Me and Brendan knew that night because Daisuke Segura, the best Japanese boxing reporter in the world, told us they have a fight agreed to for June. So they were already agreed to. And Norman didn't really pursue the Ennis fight after that. It was pretty much known he was going to fight.
Murata? Hold on.
Go ahead.
Ryota Murata.
Oh, Ryoto Murata.
Okay.
What up, man?
Sorry. Hi, yeah. English, you know me? I do. I interview you one day. Someday. All right.
Yeah, man, former WBA middleweight champ, lost that title to Golovkin in that unification a couple years ago. Shout out to Ryoto Murata.
I might get in trouble for that.
yeah, my bad. But
it's all good.
He anyways, it's not like Ennis's fight was in April. This fight's in June. It's a 2-month turnaround. It's not like when He's not on the schedule where he fought 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months after the Cuevas fight. It's a quick turnaround. We're in June. The summer has just begun. Yeah. So, look, Ennis was technically booked already for the next month. So he gets a quick payday in Japan, and now he's freed up, and we still got the whole summer in front of us. So, what do you say to it, Brendan?
I'm going to say, look, man, I knew not because of Daisuke, but I knew because I knew the chairman of Jin Sasaki's gym, a guy named Issei Nakaya. I was told months in advance they were going to fight, and that's why he was in Vegas, like you said. But I mean, people get mad at fighters for being inactive, right? And then so is Brian Norman Jr. supposed to go fight Jerron Ennis being inactive? You know, he came here, got a fight, stayed active, raised his profile, got a big knockout, and now the fight is much bigger. So what more do you want? The only thing left to do is for both guys to show up, negotiate, get what they feel they deserve, and we can solidify.
Wait a minute. What difference does it make? If Ennis's last fight was going to be against Stanionis at welterweight, then it doesn't matter, right? If Brian Norman would have just said, I'm just going to chill after Cuevas now and hopefully get an offer, it doesn't matter, right? Because he wasn't going to, his last fight at Stanionis was going to be welterweight anyways, right? So.
Yeah, well, he never said that. I never heard you guys, the Boots fans, correct me if I'm wrong. Boots, I never heard Boots say before the Stanionis fight.
This is my last fight at 147.
No, I never heard him say that. So, what are we doing? What are we talking about?
Yep. So, but it is what it is. I'll catch you guys later. BT, thanks for rocking with me. What time is it in Japan right now?
It is 10:02 p.m. 10:02 p.m.
All right, man. If I were you, I would go. Sean's making excuses. I mean, if you want to play that game, is Boots making excuses? Is like,
Yeah.
no, I don't.
Yeah.
All right, if you want to say that, if you think I'm, just being biased to Norman or whatever, I think I'm just being realistic, like about the whole situation.
I don't
But
think.
if you disagree and you just want to call Norman a duck and Boots, then all right, then if that satisfies you and you're good, then you're good. I just see it a different way.
Yeah. I see it a different way.
Oh.
Even if Boots goes to the, what are they talking about? But I'm gonna head out, Sean.
All right, later,
I gotta get on the
BT.
train.
Peace. All right. Chad, I have disappeared. Everybody. Here, you know what? I will start a new meeting just so I can actually be seen and sign off that way. Hold on. All right. All right, everybody. I will catch you all later. Have a great rest of the week. And, yeah, keep it locked in here on the channel. Subscribe to Brendan's channel at True School Sports. I thought that was awesome of Brendan to get on with us live from Japan right after he was at the fight. You guys were awesome, and it was awesome to have 500 people in here at 5 in the morning for a fight. Much love to everybody. Looks like we'll probably never get Boots Norman, but life moves on, and I think we certainly made our points that we felt we wanted to make, but life goes on. That was an awesome knockout, and that was a lot of fun, and I'm happy you guys came and shared it with me. So have a great rest of the day, and God